Ясно. Блад. Сейчас нахуй страшно будет, пиздец. Струм. Раз. 11. Один. Слышно? Всем привет. Давно мы с вами не виделись, джентльмены. Но на это есть свои обстоятельства. Вот. И сегодня у нас... Не смайт, ну смайт, но не смайт. Будем пучноуты смотреть, короче. Пучноуты. То, что пучноуты смотреть, короче. Пучноут. Блять, ебаный мой голос. О, налетели нахуй. Гули. Так, шум чутка. Но я не могу этот шум убрать. Но не волнуйтесь, джентльмены. О, там, блять, уже скины показывает Влад. Вам же видно все, надеюсь? Да, вам видно. Влад, давайте я включу срочно. О. Давай. Во. Пошло звучок по трубочкам. Оп. Джентльмены, присаживаемся быстро. Опа. Задержечка минимальная, задержечки почти нету. О, да. Какая хуйня бесполезная.
Welcome in, everybody. It's finally here. It's the mid-season patch notes, and trust me, it's gonna be awesome. My packet is like really thick this time.
Блядь, рыли. Охереть. Бой. И это он. Да, блядь, прекратите. Это я. Блядь, я закрыл нахуй с твич. Да ну нафиг. Так, плиз. Успокойтесь. Порбулейся или что? Да нет, у меня просто... Есть свои причины. Оу, щит. Вот это скин. Зачет. Сейчас я вам Гартуся включу. Гартуся тебя включаю, если что, выключи микро, если все шумит. Все, я включил вам Гартуся. Гартусь будет нам помогать переводить. Это Кернун, как мы понимаем. Это у нас будет Кернун. Шикарный.
Да, показали Кернуна.
Конечно, да. Кернун зачетный. Так, походу громче вам надо сделать.
Они из ивента.
Данил, привет, Данил. Получше будет. Нормас. Из Вуду. Красавчик, лопач. Такой отзывай.
Соль прикольная.
Соль.
Cherry Bomb Soul is next up. This is a season ticket reward. This one looking really cool. Kind of a skater. Cherry Bomb Soul.
Фу, нет. Ой, фу.
Soul is one of my favorite gods that I've been playing a little bit more of recently.
I bet you're excited about this skin.
Well,
I said that before I saw
Yeah.
Don't put that evil on me. Okay?
Соль будет смеяться.
It's part of that season ticket reward.
За соль такая себе. Сервер прикольный очень.
Да, прикольный сервер.
Да, ничего так.
Another skin that I just cannot wait for. Oh, look, a little Baron action in the background there.
Hey, you got in that shot as well.
Чибик типа.
Was it a squirrel that you're referring to?
No.
Это соль. Это соль была. По идее, соль.
Это соль, они сказали, что это соль.
Вот, значит соль.
Тот.
Да. У меня задержка чутка, я смотрю вместе со всеми, типа. Поэтому... Тот. Серьезно? Чувствую за это, по-моему, потеряли авторские права. По-моему, в каком-то мультике это было. Явно в каком-то мультике эта херня, этот был такой. Серьезно?
Барон. Новое пришествие барона.
Да, барон. Такое себе.
Baron has been in your games everywhere. I'm sure of that. At least he's been in all of mine. And at least he'll beat you up in style now. You know, it could be worse. Also, you might not be quite as good whenever this skin comes out. Bit of a spoiler alert for what's going on. in the god balance section of this patch. Those are all the skins.
Неплохие скины, да, неплохие. Некоторые, да.
During this mid-season patch update. So let's just get right into it then. I'm joined here on the casual set by the peanut gallery of Hindu Man over in the corner there, but also design extraordinaires AJ and Pon. Guys, I'm not even going to ask you how you're feeling because we got to move.
Let's do it. Let's get started.
We got to get moving.
So much things to talk about.
Oh, wait.
Ты чекал, надеюсь, что там должно быть в изменениях? Шаришь хотя бы?
Shout out to a year ago in
Да.
Valencia.
Нет, там изменение режима будет. Баланс, собственно, короче. Там в 3 на 3, по идее, должен новый кэмп быть. Там, ну, короче, много чего интересного сейчас чекнем. Маски вернули, кстати. Затем сочувствую. Ну, блин, Нудма, решай проблему. Да, микро.
Лайки или что?
Да, эта система похожая будет.
Не, он говорит, что она будет чуть скидаться, зачем?
Да, по идее, будет скидываться, когда ты хуйню делаешь.
Не, скидывается в конце сезона, он сказал. Еще будет за это награда.
So instead of the, hey, we're going to ban you if you're mean, which we'll still do, don't get me wrong, but it's more of like a, hey, be nice and you get rewards now.
Yes.
It seems like here, I'm also reading that you can also just gain some of these points by playing with 100% goodwill.
Yes, so we also have some goodwill reworks going in, because that's already kind of one of our existing systems that promotes positivity. Right. It will contribute towards those points, so if you're at 100%, you actually get that, and then we have some goodwill reworks coming in later down on this show flow.
So you get, can you just give us a little bit of a preview of what you can get from being a good player?
So one thing you can get from being a good player is the team skin boosters at 300 points.
Привет, Дмитрий.
Ну, за то, что ты, типа, хороший игрок, он дает тебе либо бога, либо бустеры дают, либо, типа, что-то типа Enigma честно.
Маленькие вкусняшки.
So not only do we have the monthly commendation system rewards, but if you remain unbanned for the entirety of Season 5, we're going to be tracking that starting at 513. So people who maybe weren't so good at the start of the season get a little bit of a break.
Okay.
This is now your chance.
Yes.
If you get all the way through the whole year, you will actually be able to get a whole bunch of other additional content, and that's like, we have a skin coming out for you that's only exclusive through this. We have a loading frame, we have a jump
Ну, типа, награды в конце года.
Ну, понятно.
Generated through the yearly reward system.
That's really cool. You're taking a look right now on your screen about the commendation that you can get. Nice little new post-game screen here.
Yeah, so it's a new post-game screen. It'll be up for like 10 seconds.
Там разные похвалы будут.
It will show people like their loading frames, who they were. A little nice thing about them, so like top.
А что тут происходит? Почему ты смотрим? Привет, Рен. Ты вернулся там? Да, в смысле я не вернулся. Просто не стримил некоторое время, но бывает.
No, you can vote for your whole team. The only limit is you can only we track who you vote for every day. So you only vote for a person once a day.
Оно не считается с друзьями, только новые люди должны лайкать.
Да.
Yeah, this person was really nice, even though they were yelling at me all the time, and in our voice comms, you know what I mean? A little bit different there. I was looking at you, but yeah.
Если нет какашка, нет, не буду. Я
какашка.
какашка.
This is replacing FP tipping, really. So FP tipping is gone.
Okay.
This is what's going to be here. It's a whole new set of rewards, different stuff, and so it's a lot more robust system. Like, we're worrying about the break cases, and we're giving people long-term and short-term goals.
Сори, Лапыч, возможно, завтра.
Breaks up the match log a little bit, so like when you're heated from the match, you get this extra screen. You get
Да, видео.
Things went instead of rushing right to chat. And even just subtle things like that can really impact players' behavior. And we just want everyone to be nice, Just try to be a little nicer to each other.
And you said that the yearly rewards includes like an exclusive skin and that kind of stuff. So if that person selects that god and is like, yo, where's your nice person skin? They're like, I don't have it.
Ну, говорят о том, что, типа, очень это тем, типа, сделать, чтобы люди более дружественны.
You get a very exclusive skin, but you can't use your account. It's a win.
Кто ты? Сокоровка. Как вообще дела? Нормально. Как у вас дела? Вам там все нормально видно, по идее? Шикарно.
So we can actually monitor what players are doing throughout the whole game. And why this is not obviously perfect, right? Because we're not in the game, we can't see exactly what's going on.
Sure.
A lot of these metrics are able to kind of give us a good idea of who might be maybe intentionally feeding.
Кто не шарит, изменения будут в балансе, в большем, типа, в основном баланс будет меняться сейчас, и многие плюшечки будут, типа, надеемся на то, что кастомки не будут главной темой этого патча. Нет, лагает. В смысле лагает? Прищепну. Привет, привет, Адам.
Ну, ты поревал, я чуть не слишком понял что они только хотят изменить систему репортов, только что-то я не понял, как бы они хотят предлагать, чтобы, типа, в конце боя тебе предлагало, вот ты не хочешь вот этого зарепортить, типа, нам кажется, типа, что он плохо играл, типа, такое.
О, неплохо.
Вроде так.
We are. So, the biggest flaw with the report system is players don't use it all the time. Like, we get tweets and...
Да. Вот оно так и будет. Типа, чтобы напоминать игрокам, что, типа, нужно репортить плохих и так дальше.
Удачи, Рен. Неплохая, по идее, должна быть системка.
And we're also trying to we're doing more support on our back end. The High-Rez support team is getting more tools to help them do their jobs better, more efficiently, and they're going to be doing more frequent passes and looking through the player base to look at these problem cases and send out punishments.
All right, great. That's going to be a lot of fun and excited about that. Another thing I'm excited for, a bit of a throwback to the past. We got timed queues.
Matchmaking.
So this is the other big feature of this patch is the matchmaking changes.
Okay.
Matchmaking changes, probably one of the most asked for things in all of Smite.
Yep.
Not just Smite, games in general, multiplayer games across the entire industry. Matchmaking is hard. We just got to get out there and say, before we go into the changes.
I play a lot of games. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in any game I play say matchmaking in this game is really good.
No,
like literally never.
So we are making some changes, some bold changes, some unique things that other games don't do to try to work to cater to our specific player base. We're not claiming this is just going to solve everything. We're not claiming that we've fixed an industry problem that gigantic companies for history of gaming have not solved.
Right.
We just fixed it. No, that's not the case. But we are implementing specific features that we think work really well in Smite and gonna better fit the way players play Smite. So timed queues are coming back. We've actually done this way back in the day, but that was a very different Smite at that time. So
very much so.
I wouldn't really think of it as coming back. This is a very new feature to the way Smite works. For those of you who don't know what this is that queues, you won't just click play and wait for the timer.
Как ее дышит, это не я дышу, это ноутбук шумит.
When the queue is going to fire.
Да.
Я понял, типа, просто будет писать, типа, примерное время ожидания, насколько в матче поищется, что-то такого.
The timer will count down, then you will get a match to accept prompt. You click accept, and you'll be entered into the pool for matchmaking, and then the matchmaking starts.
Oh.
So it waits until it gets everybody it can get from the time, and then it starts putting the teams together. So there'll be a secondary timer, a 20-second timer, where you'll get UI feedback, but that's when the matching is taking place. So there's a couple advantages to this. One is that it doesn't matter because matchmaking hasn't started yet. If you just don't make the time, no one cares. No deserter. You were taking a little too long in the kitchen. You knew you had exactly 5 minutes, but you didn't make it back.
Если ты не...
No one cares because
Если ты поставил матчмейкинг, типа, пошел куда-то, не пришел, она, типа, возьмет его другого игрока, типа, тебе откинет дальше, типа, ну и ты не получишь дезертира.
Неплохо.
From the top and work its way down and make sure that we really pool together the players who are strongest.
Yes. Okay.
So the old matchmaking system was really good for maybe the average player, but the average player, there's lots of average players. And it's not that hard to match them. So this system we think will be better for the very for high-end players, the smaller population that cares a lot more about matchmaking, right?
Sure.
So I think those are the key features of this. There's a lot more systems. I'm not going to get really into it. If you miss, if there's 99 people in the queue, some of you will get rolled over to the next queue, but you'll have higher priority to guarantee to get matched next time. If you're an odd man out or your party doesn't accept, a lot of similar stuff as you're used to being requeued.
What's the queue timer going to be? Do we know
the queue timers are different for every queue.
Right.
We are not publishing those directly in patch notes, all listed out, but you'll be able to see those in PTS.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And in 5.13 launch, they are increased based on match popularity and size.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're all staggered from each other, and we very likely might make changes to them.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's something like
Нет, типа тебя тянет очередь, ты будешь дальше стоять в очереди,
Ну,
и при
короче,
этом не получишь.
ну, просто можно сказать, что теперь каждый матч будет искать одно и то же время. То есть, ну, он сказал там, арена 2-3 минуты, 5 на 5 5 минут, а ранкеды по 10-12 минут.
Your siege will be on a longer one,
Right.
just a slightly less played mode. But what this should do
Если он
is,
это в пример сказал, и
really
на
group
самом
up
деле
players
все
in a
быстрее
more
будет искать.
efficient way, since Smite is such a multi-mode game. This will change the way players queue for matches. So
Yeah, I really love that idea of you click accept and then you get entered in the matchmaker. Because I remember back when I was playing with the old time queues, you know, you would be like, oh, I got in with 5 seconds left, but then the matchmaker didn't have time to put you in the right game, and you'd either miss the queue because of that, or the game would get weird. This seems like that'll bring down those sorts of cases at least a little bit.
And that's
Should be
deserters too for missing the
Fine.
queues.
yeah, there will be only there was no such thing as queue disorder, right? Only lobby disorder, which of course you should not do.
Right,
Shouldn't
don't do it.
that. Don't do that.
Definitely don't.
But that's the only thing.
If they get first pick Baron, I'm not.
Let's see. Is there anything I missed about it? It's like the real thing is it's a really tangible change.
Yes.
So we've been making changes in the background. We've been optimizing our system, the way Elo MMR is tracked, the way the matchmaker decides, oh, it's fair for aggro to play against Ajax. We've been changing that stuff in the back end, but players don't really feel that.
Right.
And they still get one bad match and then get on social media. So this is something that the whole player base is going to feel. It's gonna feel different.
Right.
And we want them to know that we really are trying to solve this problem through all sorts of innovative ways.
All right. Well, that's not the only sort of changes to matchmaking or queues that we've got. We've also got changes to the rank conquest that we talked a little bit
В
about.
конквест не будет, можно будет идти с пати. Только соло.
From ranked conquest. You've got a solo.
Solo only ranked.
Там же раньше только вдвоем можно было.
This is specifically when
Да, только вдвоем, теперь вообще нельзя.
has the highest
такое,
chance
типа,
to
не
make
критично,
the
вроде.
best matches.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'm not going to claim that everything's going to be perfect. We're trying to make a lot of improvements, and we want to hear everyone's feedback. We've been communicating really closely with pros and streamers. We want to see how this goes.
Yeah.
We're going to be watching really closely. But with solo only and timed queues, that means when that queue fires, the top 10 players should be in the same match together every time. And with parties, that could cause people to sift around. You
Right.
would get a lot of cases where pros would be like, oh, I'm the one pro who didn't get in the match. And there's some no-name in there. There still might be no-names in there. Those guys are good, though.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you
They're
got
in
to
there.
play with them.
They've
Top
earned it.
10.
Just because you don't know them doesn't mean they're not good.
Right.
But yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see that. The pros are going to, and the high-ranked players are going to get a little more indicator of who's top.
Right.
Whether or not their TP value says that, but they'll know who's top because they'll be in the games together.
That's awesome.
Ну, в 3 на 3 можно идти в
Also,
пати.
ranked joust, you can still party there.
Жаль.
Just a clarification, 3-3 is still allowed there. That
Выкачай,
seems to be
пожалуйста,
most of the way
микрофон.
people play the mode anyway.
Right.
So if you want to play ranked joust, I highly recommend getting the crew together before you queue it. But, you know, if you want to go solo, still fun.
Привет, Ваня.
Yeah. All right. So just some clarification there. A little bit of a difference on the match forgiveness as well coming up with regards to that early surrender rules.
Yeah, so the big thing here is we actually are going to change early surrender a little bit to make it a little bit more useful in more cases. Before, it really cared about if a person disconnected before the match even started. Now we're actually going to allow it to also track for the first 3 minutes if a person disconnects. So there's a little bit of a window where if someone disconnects early on, not necessarily right before the match starts, you'll still have the ability to early surrender. And then early surrender is actually going to impact more.
Если кто-то в твоей теме, например, в 3 на 3 в ранковых, да,
have early surrender.
первых 3 минуты ливает, вы можете сдаться и не потеряете ранги. Ну, типа очки ранга.
Surrender early for the TP forgiveness.
Это неплохо.
You can't play it out.
Первые 3 минуты после лива, типа?
Первые 3 минуты матча, если он ливает, можно так.
Неплохо,
Да.
неплохо.
You will have full forgiveness.
And if the player
Здорово, Андрей.
returns, this option's off the table. Once they return, you gotta play it
Это
too.
неплохо.
Okay.
So, you know, this is a controversial system. Some of the communities talked about a lot, but there are downsides to this one too. That's why we've been hesitant to implement it for a while.
Yep.
But we're ready to try it out. One of the key things.
А тот, кто дисконнелся, он получит в 2 раза больше, типа, чем за лос. Типа, как будто он 2 катки проиграл.
Oh,
So
wow.
О,
if this
это
scenario
жестко.
successfully occurs,
И
That's good.
you disconnect early
Такое.
and your team surrenders. The
Ну,
loser
это
team
типа,
is
если
full
ты
player,
дисконнектился
no
вначале.
TP loss. The disconnected player, full TP loss.
А те, кто выиграли, то
Whatever, even
будут
if you
получить
put the match
меньше,
up
чем
45
за обычную
that
победу.
number, times 2 minus. And the winning team will get reduced winning TP because they
So
just
when it's
they,
much in a
they pretty much
45,
did they pretty much did nothing.
Right.
You know, they just get.
Будем
it's a
надеяться,
quick
что
game,
за это
sorry
не
for,
будет
you know,
давать
sorry for
30
the
минут.
Hold on. What if the intimidation of me being in the loading screen is what caused them to DC.
I don't think that's happening.
So
целом
we
неплохо.
really want to.
I picked Zeus, and now they're like, we can't play it. Like, I'm
Так,
not
кстати,
doing
еще
it.
более
So you
упростили
can-
систему
we really want
получения
to de-incentivize
большего
people
ранга.
quitting on purpose to try to avoid this. So the penalty is harsh. So if you're trying to game this to boost your friends, or you were trying to be the hero to your team by quitting, you're gonna pay for it.
Right.
And, like, you're not gonna be able to do that very often because you'll be back down in the low ranks.
Very, very
So if I see aggro in my game and go, guys, I'm gonna DC at the start to save you all the worry of having to deal with this rubbish Zeus in the mid lane.
Huge TP loss.
I will lose all that TP.
Yeah, and you'll be down. You won't be playing with aggro again anytime soon because you will be far below him.
ever again.
Yeah.
Ever
Yeah,
again.
okay.
So that's really exciting, really big feature people have been asking for a long
Yes.
time. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, there's something that we
В дуэли можно теперь не в 10 минут с рангой, ну, типа сдаваться, а в 5.
Да-да-да-да. Это уже выделено.
Now stop whining about it. It's done now.
I send out a lot of spoilers.
Hooray!
So, hey, duel, it's only you. If it's only you, we don't really care, I guess, if you're gonna play
Right,
longer or
it's your
shorter. It's
choice.
just one person. You do what
Right.
you want to do. So
Yeah.
let people duel faster. We're fine with it.
Speaking of duel, a couple changes to the Joust map. We'll be going through these a little bit more quickly. Got to get to those towards the
Хороший.
changes. We got
You
plenty-
gotta move fast.
Got plenty of them. All right, so Joust towers and Phoenix areas have been updated for better visual clarity, and a new XP.
Визуальные эффекты
Добавили
Tower.
в 3 на 3 кемп новый.
So
Да, да,
what
да,
does
да,
this
да.
camp do, and why are we putting it?
So this is the Joust map, which will affect Joust and Duel.
Correct.
Joust has a really cool early game where there's a lot of contesting over the jungle camp, specifically the red camp. But then there's a couple especially some downtime in like the early to mid game before you can go for Bull and Demon King or Towers, where you're kind of just looking at each other. So we wanted to add this other camp. It's a small thing. It's just a thing to do between lanes to bring up a little more strategies. Also, just adds a little more jungle to the camp. Maybe bring assassins into the mode a little bit more. Just add a little bit more strategy to the area without really causing.
Ну, а они дают типа этих, только экспу и голдой, все, больше ничего не
Two
дают.
little armored tigers that just give XP and gold.
Oh, just 2 armored tigers. Who doesn't have those?
Yeah, of course.
All the time.
And yeah, we're also adjusting the Bull Demon King.
Right.
In a similar.
Increase base HP from about 350 HP.
You know, I play a lot of Joust, and I play with
Do
some
you
good.
now?
I play with some good players when I do.
You play
And
Joust?
I watched. I've watched some of my bros like an AMC solo Bull Demon King.
Важно ли ХП было 3 на 3?
I
don't
don't
know
really
about
feel like
this.
that's intended. So we're bumping up his health a little bit to really make that a more contestable objective, and not just something that gets ninja'd, stolen, and then snowballed.
Sure, fair enough. Okay, that does it for the Joust map. Also have changes for the arena map. These are some things that people were requesting after some of those arena adventures that we
Сейчас
had.
посмотрим, винтик покажут.
UI
Чуть позже.
elements and things like that.
Ну чего, со скиллами
Ticket
совсем.
value effects a little bit better, and also respawn timer rules have been changed to be a little bit less random, scaled more properly if you're winning or losing.
So we try to use the adventures as a test bed for things whenever we can. So in Inner Demon, we tried a bunch of stuff. We're bringing some of that in here. So when you kill minions, you'll see little ticket pop-ups. This is great for new players who don't really know where the scoring system comes from in Arena. So you'll now see feedback for that, like XP and gold. Updating the HUD so you can see the kills to your Juggernaut. And the respawn timers is a big one too. It's a looping respawn timer, so you could die and have like a 5-second respawn timer, which is just weird.
Right.
So we're equalizing that out. It'll be very based on currently who's leading the game.
Gotcha.
But then you'll still wave based, not changing that.
Okay, perfect. So arena is going to see
Арену хотят изменять внешне, и, короче, там что-то там сделали, короче, чтобы больше было понятно, кому там меньше тикетов сделают, отпадает, что-то такое.
with all the things we have in this midseason.
И там, короче, типа какие-то маленькие изменения для команды, которая типа лидирует, там что-то типа полегче будет. Не понял, в чем смысл.
Okay, Clash getting a couple changes.
Там вроде с КД против смеси, ну типа как быстрее существует.
The Apophis buff and enhanced Apophis buff gets a buff, I suppose. A little bit,
buff.
yeah, the buff
Buff that
gets a
buff.
buff, because
Buff the buff.
why not? Also,
Пофиг теперь не будет шотать, по идее,
entering the map,
когда появляется.
A little bit of a nerf. Just a little bit. We didn't want it like just one-shotting people.
Yeah, we did.
We like it making it. No, we want you to get the kill though, not Apophis.
Oh, okay.
Right. So now they'll be
Brief.
left there weaker. You can.
Да,
you can pick
все,
them
что
up.
можем, то переводим.
Yeah, and also, so the class changes are mostly because the map had a tendency to kind of stall out and stalemate sometimes.
Yes.
So we really wanted to avoid that. Those phoenixes really hard to read.
Yeah.
Like they were interesting, but they were like the way the damage ramped up on the ticks made it feel like nothing, and then you're dead.
И теперь пофиг баф дает не только урон, а еще и дает регенерацию, так же, как и в 5 на 5 и в 3 на 3 будет.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I think
И
it's hard, or Apophis
Fire
you
Giant.
go to kill it and you get the buff. It doesn't feel that impactful when you're finishing the game. With health regen, it totally will, especially when you're actually trying to siege the phoenixes down.
Okay, perfect. That does it for Clash. Now, Barracuda, pay attention. Assault change.
This won't really affect him.
Assault will now randomly select a god from all gods instead of the gods the player just owned. So, Barra, if you need a Smurf that doesn't have the
It's
god
a pretty
pack,
interesting
that's
change.
cool.
It
So if you
is
don't have the god pack,
all
you can still-
gods. Yes, all gods for all players in Assault.
Great.
We're also still really looking at Assault. We have a lot of big plans for it, so we'll see what we can do in the future. We haven't really figured that out yet. But Assault is now one of our. It's a really popular game mode actually.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
been kind of gone the longest without some changes, so we're keeping an eye out. But although it's small today, we're working on it.
Actually, we did do
Не понял, что они в штурме сделали?
dubs, right?
Yeah, we
Big
did.
fix.
That's a
Huge
big
fix.
fix.
That was a big buff to the Assault.
thing.
Kudos
I
to the
agree.
environment and audio team on that
It
one.
really was. Okay, that means it's time for Conquest. We got through
Here
just
we
about
go.
every other sort of map. Let's get started. AJ, you teased this a little bit ago. Support
Какой?
changes
Какой?
in XP.
Right.
What's going on there?
So this is a problem we've been trying to tackle actually since even early 5.1 development. Right?
Yeah.
Like we saw this issue, but Conquest Season 5 had a lot of key goals. We wanted to make junglers more impactful and more independent. We wanted to de-incentivize splitting the entire map. We widened the map. We did made respawn timers, made a lot of changes to affect this. These were all super successful. People seem really happy with Season 5 Conquest, especially the competitive and ranked scene. But it did have one key drawback. That means that it tended to make duo lanes suffer a little bit more. Splitting XP was worse. We experimented with so many ways to tackle this issue. We've tried everything.
We tried a whole bunch of different solutions.
Putting it on Guardian's Blessing just caused everybody to buy one. Even if it was small, just getting a little bit ahead on your opponent was so good. It changed it to a 2-1-2 meta or a group up meta again. It was not good. Can't put it on an item. We did it for five supports. Not good. We tried XP bonus.
Это изменения в конку идут.
Easy to get.
Да, сейчас его
It all had
конфиг
exploitable cases. So really what we wanted to do was focus on just the support.
Такое, да.
Support tends to split the most. There's kind of 4 positions on the map, the lanes and the jungle, but one person has to share.
Right.
Yeah.
So really what we did is specify this change directly towards them. Sure, it's going to bounce around to other players in your team, but in most cases it'll affect the support.
Okay.
So after 2 minutes, which is about when players' dual lane starts to be definitively behind the other lanes,
Ну, короче, после второй минуты
the lowest
игрок,
level
который...
will get increased shared experience.
Игрок, который меньше всего уровень будет иметь, он будет получать больше экспы, не сам, а если он с кем-то стоит на лайне, то есть это намек на dual line, то, что саппорты всегда проседают по левелу, что они теперь не будут проседать, они будут больше опыта получать. Они шарят опыт, ну, то есть, типа, делят опыт за ДК, и они будут получать больше опыта, потому что у них меньше всего левел.
And so if you're doing your ADC are exactly the same level, both low, it'll bounce back between them at the time. But as soon as the support starts roaming, ADC gets that solo farm, then they'll start doing that with the mid laner. The mid laner is going to be almost certainly ahead of them. So the support can split with the mid laner, get a bunch of experience there, move in with the jungler, gives them a lot of flexibility.
Okay, perfect. And we talked a lot about DCs and what was happening there with the early surrender changes and that kind of stuff. How do DCs impact this?
I'm actually not fully familiar.
Oh yeah, sorry, I tried to throw it upon because I'm talking way too much.
No, because there's a lot of stuff that
Pon's
you
your
have.
eye candy right now.
Yeah.
and
Если чувак дисконнектится, и у него меньше всего левел, он этот бонус не получает, то есть получает другой. Ну, то есть он не считается, если
If
он
they come back, they will
дисконнектится.
take it back, and then they can try to get back in the game. Sure. But a key thing about this though is we're not really intending this change to work that way. Like this is not a change that's like, oh, my solo laner fed, and now we're just going to boost them back.
Yeah.
No. This is not a change like, oh, we're just going to go like, I'm just going to not play my role and just go harass the enemy jungler, not get XP, and then just earn it all back. No, it doesn't work like that.
It's not going to work
Yeah.
out. The way
You
this is
won't get
designed, from what I'm reading here, is like by 9 minutes, it's always the support that's bottom. All
Well,
the
yeah,
experience.
yeah.
By 9 minutes in the game, from 2 minutes onwards, this is going to be helping out the team as a whole. You're going to be sharing a lot anyway.
Right. So this
as a
is
support,
really
so.
intended to not really change anyone's playstyles. We're not trying to get people to game the system, although they might. You know, That's MOBAs, and that's beautiful.
They're
thing
gonna
about
try to,
MOBAs.
yeah.
But it's not going to be it's not going to have a huge payoff if you try to do that. But really, you play optimally, you play normally, you play support. At the time you're in the team fight phase, you're just going to start catching up to your teammates faster.
Yeah,
Perfect.
And it's intentionally subtle so that those situations where people might try and game it, it's not really beneficial enough to really game it. It's just going to be something that's happening passively to your team. There's a slight benefit.
So if it's a casual player doesn't watch patch notes, they haven't been playing for a little bit. They come back in 4 weeks or something like that, and they're just like, I'm sick at farming and support. Like I don't know what I did differently, but I'm just feeling a little bit better. That's kind of the feel we're going.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Also, a change to minion AI here in Conquest. Minions that have already chosen a target
Yeah,
now
Tahoe,
no longer
Minionos.
change targets and less drawn by God aggro. Correct.
This is a big bullet point too. This is something we hear a lot from pros and especially veteran players about asymmetrical minion wave clearing. So hey, me and my opponent, we did the same jungle start. but I got to lane and they had 3 minions and I only had 2.
Right.
And now I lost the game. Okay, well that's an exaggeration. You should be able to play around that. But we are trying to optimize that scenario.
Okay.
This is not going to guarantee symmetrical farm, but the way that issue occurs is when minions, they shuffle around a little bit, as anything driven by AI is not going to be perfectly scripted.
Right.
It's going to make some choices based on the AI. It's going to have some randomness to it, and that's okay. But we're decreasing the chances of that happening a little bit by making sure the minions, when they focus a target and there's nothing out around to distract them, that they stay on their target and continue to DPS it and hopefully clear each other a little more closely symmetrically.
So, can I ask a question about that? So the enemy aggro that you're going to see there, if a god gets aggro from those minions, when the minions go back to the wave again, if the wave was still there, would they re-aggro the same minions, or would they just select new targets?
We're not changing anything to the system, except in the case where they're already targeting a minion.
Cool. Yeah.
So in that case, nothing changed.
Right, okay.
If gods are around, nothing changed.
Cool.
And the main problem with solving this issue is that in 99% of cases, a god
Ну, типа, как я понял, что вот идет волна, да, ты бога вражеского не щипаешь, и крипы, типа, с шансом может тебя не трогать, а пойти сразу бить лайн. Ну, то есть, вражеских крипов, а не бить тебя.
Буду
Если правильно я понял.
игнорировать тебя и идти сразу в лайн бить.
While we're attacking matchmaking and
peace
minion
among all
AI,
nations,
right?
yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the next
The
logical
Smite
thing.
team is on.
Yeah, we're on it. Don't you worry about it. Elder Harpy getting a bit of a nerf here. This one, it will affect mid harpies and
Меньше
back
теперь экспы будут получать из кемпов, которые только экспу дают в компе. То есть гарпии и далее.
Yeah, so the goal here is we talked about this.
Ну, по идее, это изменение только для конквы. Так что такое?
Да, это только конквы, потому что нигде больше нет таких кемпов. Ну, будет еще 3 на 3.
And so, like, as a jungler, you can get a really good rotation off, and you can go gank that dual lane that's now a level down for you. Or the mid laner can rotate over and really have a big impact there. Changing the Elder Harpy, so the large Harpy, is going to slow that down a little bit. It's going to keep largely the pace the same. It doesn't feel that different. But when you are actually farming those things effectively, you'll be a little bit lower level. So the difference between the dual lane and the mid and the jungler is going to be a little bit less.
Okay,
particularly affects the early game.
Ну, типа, чтобы меньше разрыв левела был. Они все делают. Для саппорта больше экспы, меньше экспы, типа, для кемпов, которые, чтобы, типа, мид сильно не выходил вперед, или джангл не выходил сильно вперед. Они хотят, чтобы все было равномерно, чтобы всех был прям более-менее один и тот же левел.
We were trying to brainstorm this issue about how to buff supports, and then they were like, why not just nerf mid jungle a little bit? And we were like, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So we took a very subtle approach to both of them, and the pros, you know, they always give us really good insights. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate you.
Perfect. All right. Oracle's also getting a little bit of a nerf here, but it's more about the HP. So kind of a buff for taking Oracles in a way in the early game. The base HP right now, each Oracle.
Теперь ХП меньше имеет баф, который возле соло лайна, то есть синенький мана. Но меньше ХП, легче его забирать.
We often saw teams ignoring it for an excessive period of time, even though they were up and ready to take. They were just a bit too tanky.
Right.
And so now with the lower health, they'll be more contestable early on.
Still want them to feel like a mini objective, but just turn that dial a little bit.
Perfect. Okay. Now we've got a lot of buff changes.
Yeah, these are spicy.
Buckle in. If you haven't been ready quite yet, this is where you should get ready. We'll start with the most one. Oh, the pro player tiers already.
They like this change. We've already talked about it with them.
On the list.
Okay, yeah.
We've already talked this over with them. They like it.
Speed buff nerf.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the good stuff.
Is it though?
As a jungler.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Could be a 1% buff.
Could
Да,
be.
buff скорость.
Okay, so all of these buffs,
Technically is.
real quick, all the buffs are getting a little bit of a top-end reduction.
Right.
You're not getting the full benefit all the time, but you're getting kind of mini objectives to use.
Не
with a lot of these buffs,
15%,
at least
чтобы
in
быть
regards
без скорости,
to
а
getting, like,
10
the
дает.
speed buff. So right now, speed buff gives you 15% extra movement speed. We're going to reduce that down to 10%. However, before you junglers lose your minds, the buff now applies an additional.
Оно стакается, когда ты убиваешь в джангле, короче, ну просто убиваешь в джангле, типа, вот эти вот бафы, и оно дает больше скорости передвижения, типа, ну, вроде 2% за каждого убийцу, и оно тебе держится вроде 15 секунд, что такое он сказал.
Yeah, that's the specific goal is that when you kill the jungle camps, you're able to rotate around the jungle effectively. Your farm speed is largely the same. We didn't want to nerf the mid harpies and nerf your farm speed. When you go to gank, if you haven't killed something in a reasonable amount of time, you're going to lose that speed buff, so you're not just outpacing everyone when you go to gank.
Oh, it feels so good, and because that feels so good.
Only jungle camps as well, right? That it
Only
gets that
jungle
buff.
Yes,
camps.
Right,
correct.
okay.
I mean, junglers have been very powerful in Season 5. Speed buff has been
yeah.
something that's described as widely OP for a while. So
Literally forever.
we wanted to nerf it, but we wanted to give junglers the control to still use it in a way that allows them to get the full benefit.
Technically, it's a 1% buff.
Yeah,
If you're
so
playing perfectly,
if you get all 3
which I
stats,
know
it does put
every
you to
single one of you out there does.
yeah, all of us.
The way
all
my
the
social
time.
media works, you all play Smite perfectly.
Еще урон нефтит.
So you know, this is a deal that had to be made in order to nerf speed buff, red buff also. Unfortunately.
We're getting a lot of nerfs actually. Red buff and blue buff nerf, and purple buff getting buffed.
Yeah.
Nerfs on the rest.
That's fine. It's worth it. Trust me. Mages.
Не
hunters.
20, а теперь
Percent power
10%.
strong.
It is, especially in the
really
late.
good.
Right now, red buff gives you 20%. We're going to reduce that down to 10%. However, you will get
10% для крипов, не, вроде
15%
15% для крипов и 10 для богов. Или наоборот, не понял. Вроде 10 для богов.
Больше для крипов получается.
Да, больше для крипов. Ну, может, я перепутал, и там больше для этого. Для богов. Но все равно, раньше было 20%. дополнительного.
Как некоторые скиллы у богов.
It's still going to be very impactful, but dial it back.
Yes.
Dial it back.
15% power, I'll take it at just about any time. Purple buff getting a change for each enemy past the first within 55 units of you. All enemies within that area will lose additional protection. So right now it's just anyone around you. I believe it's 10 procs
Correct.
that you use currently. That you lose currently. So you'll still have that 10 procs if there's only one enemy around you, but kind of like Oni Hunters, where it's affected, or Masamune.
Ну, типа, для этого, для фиолетовый баф бафнули, потому что теперь он, типа, будет больше забирать защиты, если больше противников у тебя.
Механика Масамуны. Чем больше противников рядом, тем больше пробития.
Wait, so you can get, if you got 2 purple buffs, you can get in the middle of a late game team fight 36 procs?
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah,
in laning phase, if you steal the dual lanes purple and you have
that's a big
purple
deal.
yourself, that's 24 protections.
Double purple.
Yeah.
They're going to be losing.
We wanted to make
That's
sure
like
this
true
purple
damage.
buff was, like, a lot of times people still kind of think of the purple buff as just like, whatever, it's just there. So we wanted people to play around it like they do the other ones.
This might be better than red.
Remember, PTS feedback's going to be really important. We're going to feel everything out. But it's really exciting.
Yeah, at least in the early game is what I'm talking about in the duo lane, as you mentioned.
Can we just
24
notice that,
procs.
by the way? As soon as a new buff changes and purple gets slightly looked at even more, support's like, oh,
Не шутите, что теперь фиолетовый баф слишком крутой, чтобы из магии пиздить
You
его.
mind if I just take that? Y'all mind
You
if
plan
I...
on being in the midst of 5 enemy gods on your mage aggro?
Hey, man.
You playing Jonqui a lot lately?
A lot of time. Yes, I have been. Thank you very
He's
much.
getting nerfed, so.
Yeah, Jean.
what about blue?
Blue buff? Thank you, Graham.
No problem.
Sorry, we gotta
Decrease
keep
the
moving.
mana restored from 25 to 15 per 5 seconds, so a pretty
Ну, теперь, короче, мана реген меньше от синего бафа, но он будет восстанавливать 2% от недостающей маны каждый раз, когда ты дамажишь противника скиллом.
Yeah, we like the warriors or mages trading in the soul lane, fighting each other, and this just kind of encourages that. If you want to actually get that full mana sustain, you really do need to actually fight your opponent for it. Same with Warrior's Blessing, same with Gladiator Shield, and we do have a change to Warrior's Blessing that might encourage a little bit more fighting, more aggression in that lane.
This one's also intended to just be like a real flat nerf. A lot of times we're seeing pretty much 0 mana management worries right now, so we just wanted to
Does
just
it still have the CDR?
It does not. Not the CDR, the internal cooldown.
Sorry,
So
okay.
high cooldown
Yeah.
gods can
Yeah.
benefit from this change more, but they're also spending more mana
Right.
because they're firing off their abilities. We
Right.
think it'll
Okay.
be we'll think it'll be okay.
Okay, so the buff still does give you 10% CDR. That's I think what Graham was
That's
asking.
what I was after.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about an internal cooldown on the
But
prop.
that's also a
on
good
the
question,
trigger.
too.
No,
There is
there
no
is
internal
Что
cooldown.
я, блин,
on
не
the
чуть
CDR
спамят,
remains
еще ничего не
the same
понял.
number.
Gotcha.
Cool.
All right, we
Если
gotta
понял,
get-
они, короче, сделали КД, типа, ну, КД тоже осталось, но, типа, теперь это КД за синего бафа увеличивается максимально, типа, я понял, то есть будет больше, чем 40%, но это не точно, я чуть прослушал.
Ну, это про конкву, так что такое. По идее, только про конкву.
Не, ну, по идее, везде. По идее. Но может нет.
Не, мне кажется, будет только в конкве
There's a
такое.
lot of
Ну,
stuff.
может, да.
So I mean, so jungle practice, not really a true game mode, but something that people use a lot and something that's really fun to go in and test. And it's really important to like get people who make guides and people who do videos and people who like to test
Здорово,
theory
Phoenix.
crafts and stuff like that. So we want to encourage people to use it.
Yep.
So it had some old art, some old minions, old characters. So we updated all of that to Season 5 level art. Accurate new Season 5 Conquest, Gold Fury, and Fire Giant.
Это что, это почти
a whole bunch of new features. So I mean, I don't even think we should even talk about the features individually. But we should just go through it. Just read them off, like an auctioneer about how awesome.
Are you ready for your jungle practice changes, everyone? Get ready, because I'm going to go automatic set to level 20. There's a new CD reduction plus mana regen that gives you 80% CR. It's an MP5, so you can spam your abilities. God mode will lock your HP at 100%. Stack items, you can now step on a button and your
можно теперь бить не только Ра, можно бить не только Ра, там будет еще и другие боги, можно выбирать.
Изменение тренировок в целом, да?
Да, тренировка.
Ну, это неплохо, неплохо.
Okay, good enough. Buff camps, you can now select which conquest buff you want to test against. There's a towers and phoenixes section, so you can test your DPS.
Можно теперь типа там есть.
На фениксе, на тауэре тестить ДПС.
Да, тестить ДПС, на бовах, на таврах. Есть какие-то эрия, короче, типа части, где можно пиздиться с другом.
New features in some old zones. Odin bots, we added a new area set up
О,
with radius,
визуально
a series
покажет.
of ranges
Неплохо.
and radius indicators to better, so you can better feel out the sides of
Как-то более очень.
Очень заставкой, там еще
Мне кажется, она на старое очень похожа. Раньше была тоже такая похожая тренировочка.
Oh, that's where aggro plays.
Which is remaining in
Free
English
fight,
because
видишь,
that's
там
hard,
может
it's hard to change. But yeah, you'll see all these here.
Perfect.
Tower Phoenixes.
Yep, you got your towers and phoenixes there. There's your free fight. That's anytime I have Zeus. That's a free fight for me. Minion waves. You can step on a pad to change the minion stats to match a certain time frame of the conquest map.
Очень
That
круто
is
сделали.
super cool.
Super
Да,
hardcore
неплохо.
play there for you veterans. But if you really want to test like a half build at like level 7 and 2 items and minions at 7 minutes or 6
Dude, this looks like
minutes.
we could have the Smite Olympics here. You know what I mean? Like,
Неплохо,
who can
правда,
throw their
неплохо.
thing the
Feels like a
farthest?
track and field, I feel you.
Yeah, that's what this reminds me of. Also, the center area, reduce the size of the fountain a little bit more. That's where we were
Даже
standing.
дистанцию можно смотреть неплохо,
Можно
правда.
теперь покупать, я понял, на руны новые наши.
Also sell relics and buy new ones, and you can sell blessings and buy new ones as well. So basically, everything you could need to test, you should have now.
Пав просто
Also, you
наступаешь,
should be
берешь,
able to bring
ну типа он
a
появляется.
full team of 5
Да,
at once.
это и так показывает, да. Неплохо, правда.
Yeah, and that free
I've
fight
already
area.
been told that like Team Rival plans on squatting up in here and doing all sorts of weird experiments.
Well, this is where, like, I don't know that Splice is going to be able to get Divios out of this mode.
I know, right?
Anymore, so they might have to scrimp in this sort of setup. That is your changes for the jungle practice mode. And now, let's get on to something you might even be more excited about. Oh, that's really cool. Something you might be even more excited about. Bug fixes.
Да, тренировка неплохо, серьезно. Наконец-то тавры можно.
Теперь, когда нажимаешь Т, там будет, типа, нормально отображаться, типа, иконки. От миньонов. А будет она, типа, что будет там нормально отображаться, а не просто черный квадрат. Фиксит свой чат, что-то там, что не отображалось. Там на консоли это не важно.
Spectator on console should no longer get stuck after picks and bans. And please, I mean, look, spectator issues, we know we've had a couple of them. Please keep letting us know about those. You know, in case we're
я же говорю, на консоли не важно.
Right, and especially try to be specific as possible when you're talking to us. Like, we're trying to track these ones down. Specifically, they're hard for us to reproduce. Like, players will tell us it's completely broken, and we don't really know what that means. Our QA team will boot it up, and it works okay internally, so you know we're gonna keep working on that together.
Это все баги?
But the community's been helping.
Типа они стали намного больше, но типа они чуть-чуть залипят.
That means
and there's a lot more bug fixes, a lot more.
Они более типа обычного все другие.
Да, Витик, пойди почини.
If you see when you see the actual patch notes, I was writing out bug fixes yesterday for like 3 hours. I mean, we have victory defeat screen changes, we have a bunch of gods getting some small fixes. Audio adjustments, are all being equalized for audio, so no more banned skins for Thoth, hopefully, like a bunch of stuff.
Okay, so plenty, so make sure you get a chance to actually read the patch notes once they're released on our website. With the bug fixes down, that means we get into item balance.
It's item time.
Core gameplay.
Что за маска?
Маски типа сделали, помнишь, началки раньше были? Теперь это будут полноценные предметы.
Everyone's having ideas. I've seen social media where people like they've got some sort of idea about it.
Ну, это первое, самое начальное, типа, первое тире маски, это такое.
So I think the big thing here is we want to give players a kind of way to really mix things up, really kind of almost shift classes in a way.
Привет, юзлесное. Я не знаю, кто ты. Я Путисхуви. А, нихуя, блядь, нужно запомнить. Привет, Путисхуви.
Guardian-y, is that a word?
I mean, it is
Guardian-like.
Guardian-like.
Yeah.
So the big thing about the master are they will give you powerful benefits.
Для начала, типа,
But there will be drawbacks.
тир 1 предмет, окей. Я знаю, кто ты, я знаю, кто ты.
Ну, короче, там есть, будут, типа, бафы покруче, но они также будут давать это бафы. Например,
Да, это уже говорили. Да.
Например, они сказали для саппорта, что ты будешь носить меньше дамага, но ты будешь еще получать меньше дамага.
Now,
and they're all available to all gods.
Before we go through these as well, these are new items. They may be adjusted because I'm scared of these. At the same time as they do feel like I don't know if they're going to be good still.
They're tricky like that.
I have no idea.
A lot of PTS feedback will be taken into consideration. We've already been discussing this one with the pros as well. I expect balance changes to these as we go forward, but we're really excited about the idea of them.
The masks are going to be part of a tree that some of you may have seen online already.
Yep.
The base level 1 mask is going to be 500 gold and have 50 health and 50 mana on it. However, then we go into 3 different trees. The first tree is going to be the defense tree. We'll break this one down first of all. The tier 2 of this will, for 1200 gold is 50 health, 15 magical protections, 15 physical protections, and 10% crowd control. The upgraded version of this, the low nose, is going to be 2200 gold, 100 health,
2200 голды, 100 хп, по 50 защиты, это много. На 25% меньше ты будешь носить дамага, и на 15% меньше будешь получать дамага. На 20% уменьшение от контроля. Если честно, дохуя всего. Просто дохуя всего.
Да.
Всего лишь один слот, а он уменьшает на 15% дамаг по тебе, дает по 50 защиты, 100 хп, на 20%
это к тому, чтобы танки меньше, типа, не были такими жесткими. Это достаточно правильно. Почему бы и нет?
Ну да, ну что, типа, они реально получали нормально дамаг принимали, но и дамага наносили не так много.
Да.
Это правильно.
Это неплохо.
The first person I think of that is Geb. Like from a support player's mindset, I'm like, give Geb good.
Well,
go Geb, go.
I mean, Geb does
Never
decent
dies
damage
Geb.
though, you know.
He does.
Sacrifice
Well,
that.
there's a playtest where you were trying it and you almost killed someone, and if you didn't have the mask, you actually might have.
Yeah. I blinked in on Chaos while he was recalling.
Это одна из 3 масок, еще 2 должны быть.
With all my Geb stuff, and he just barely survived, and I was like.
How does this work with?
Ну, короче, мешает все, даже то, что идет в процентах, оно будет проценты мешать.
We'll reduce the percentage. Okay, because I thought I was looking for an edge case. So
it'll choose the damage and then reduce it again.
Yeah.
All damage percent adjustments like that happen very late in the process.
While people are freaking out about the defense one, let's move on to the mobility one.
This is a scarier one.
Oh boy. So the tier 2 is 1200 gold, 10 physical power,
4 сезона, да, типа того.
10 кулдауна, 10 скорости.
10% cooldown reduction. That's the tier 2. The tier
О,
3
нифига много.
is Bomber's Mask.
20% скоростью.
It may be worse. 2400 gold, 25 physical power, 60 magical power, 20% movement speed, 20% cooldown reduction,
Ого, жестко.
20% больше дамага получать, это пиздец много, но 50 бонусной скорости, это пиздец тоже много.
Да.
Это пиздец.
Здорово, Серега. Да, эта маска очень жесткая, серьезно.
50 бонусной скорости, это просто пиздец.
Не процентно именно, это жестко.
Это не проценты, это еще очень жестко.
Опять для жанра нет пипи. Это для не началка будет. Это маски будут не началками, это будет полноценными предметами.
Which we never done before. And any god
cooldown,
so yeah, you can be Ymir with physical power. It won't do anything, but you can get it now. And it's got cooldown reduction.
Ну да, это, блин, для убийц именно.
This one will probably take some but taking so much more damage, you die really quick.
Там просто летать на какой-то невезиде, там арахне, там, на мерке.
Like, oh yeah, I ate like one hit from someone, I'm like,
Финвире,
oh
там,
my
блин,
gosh,
для
I'm
любого
ready.
фиджа
Там
есть скорость
процентное
движения.
увеличение дамага, это
It's really hard to
еще
do
жестче,
against.
чем
It is a
скорость.
trade-off of I'm moving
Это
really,
очень
really
жестко.
fast, but if anyone
Очень
catches me for
жестко,
any
но, блин,
reason,
если ты
I'm
шотаешь,
going
то,
to suffer
блин,
for
легче
So
хлопает.
Neath Nuwa new meta, right? Because you can't. They're just taking 20% more from a Nuwa ult or a Neath ult, and your
Yeah.
movement speed.
Не
Good
знаю,
luck.
будет
I mean,
использовать, как по
Pon,
мне.
we've been having Pon on junglers
Да,
trying to
конечно.
break this item all week, and he's
Предмет есть какой дорогой.
probably. But we'll wait for everybody else on PTS to try it out too before we make any adjustments.
To be fair, I think Neath will prefer
No.
the next item. That's
Yeah,
about to be
Yeah,
talked
probably.
Еще одна
But imagine
about.
both.
We're on to the damage.
Ну, он говорит, что
now, and this is
нельзя
the final
пару
of
масок,
3
это
masks.
ясно.
Clear one thing up before I state this one as well. Only one mask can be purchased. You can't buy multiple masks.
Right.
And
Yep.
even if you did, I don't think that's a very good idea anyway, because the negatives actually outweigh the positives from the other ones. If
No, not always.
It feels that way.
Yeah,
At least the
maybe.
damage ones.
Well, it's all percentage based, so if you're not
Yeah.
building enough power or defense, that it doesn't really matter, right?
That's true.
You've got to.
I
buy
think
these
builds
different
would be
ways.
not very
Да,
good.
конечно, скорее всего,
Да,
будет.
10 финитры,
Only
20
one mask, only one
физической силы,
blessing,
50
mastery,
магической силы.
damage version. Fighter's mask is 1200 gold. It's
Это
10
много.
penetration, 20 physical
20
power,
пенитры,
30
50 фи силы, 100
Да,
макс
те
силы.
второй такой.
Yeah, he's back too. 2600 gold, 20 penetration, 50 physical power, magical power, minus 30 movement
Пиздец.
speed, but plus 15% ability damage.
А, 20% к атакам, 15% к дамагу
Жестко,
копилкам.
жестко. Это жестко, да.
So
Это
очень
пиздец.
жестко.
Оно еще и дает 100 макс
Good
силы и сколько там вроде, ну там, блин, тоже до пизды фи силы. Пиздец.
Yeah, you turn it
I'm a
into
snail
truck
truck.
mode. Yeah.
So,
Truck mode.
yeah, these items are arranged in a nice triangle where you sacrifice one stat to gain the other, but they don't
Очень
just
много,
directly
еще
cancel out each other.
пенитры
They
дают
go
20.
through the mobility.
Да,
We
но
didn't
ты
want to do
movement
just
speed теряешь,
plus
то есть для
damage
того же
and
Анубиса или Зевса это будет
plus
не очень
defenses and
вообще.
then the same
Ну да,
opposite,
но,
right?
бля, ну
Yeah.
все
It's a
равно.
little- it's a little
Это
less
пиздец.
interesting and it
Вот
causes
эти
weird
30
matchups
бонус
where
movement
it's
спида
not
может
exciting if
компенсировать
it cancels out.
500 шамана.
So this
Это
triangle
как,
feature
небольшой
will
Тахути.
work well, and you'll- you have to go
Старый
through the
Тахути.
Блять,
mobility,
нормальный такой
to make it-
Тахути.
to make it to the powerful stats that you
Yeah.
want.
And I also think it's worth noting that this
Что
is the most
пенитру
expensive
дает,
one. They all have
пиздец.
different costs. The low-nose one is the lowest
Ну,
cost,
здравствуй,
and
Янус,
the
буду
highest.
ваншотить еще лучше.
And that's the main thing, that the balances of the item, the cost could change.
Yeah.
Some of these stats could change too.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. But it
Жестко.
can be experimented with.
На него
BTS will be
потому что
really
понефит
Have
это
fun.
много.
Да.
Yeah,
Я
all
лучше
the characters
понефит.
out there are just trying to like
Ну,
break
Ну,
the
по нефе
barrier
только в
now.
следующем патче, скорее всего,
Да,
это
да,
несколько
да.
недель ждать. Так что, готовы страдать. Барон, теперь новые предметы.
Defense, we're going to group these two together. They're not going to be removed.
Это, короче,
Эликсир
вот
пиццов.
эти эликсиры, они
These are the
пропадают
3K
после
potions.
смерти. То есть
3K
ты сдох,
potions
они
you can
всегда
consistently
настают на
get.
тебя.
Yeah, we just want to
О,
make
это
sure when you're
круто.
buying this, it's very late game. We just want
И
these are
теперь
end game type of items. We
на
want to make sure
25%
people
пишешь
continue to just
больше
fight it
дамага
out until the game is
тавром,
over, not just
когда ты им
immediately
даешь
lose
каким-то.
investments and stuff like that.
Yep.
So-
And they
Elixir of
also
Power.
now provide an additional 25% damage mitigation from structures.
А, это
of
обычное,
defense
то, что
one,
типа
and offense
красный
one
и
is
фиолетовый для
additional
дамага.
25% damage to structures.
Да-да-да.
And the buff
25%
time
для
increase.
того,
It
чтобы
was
дамажить,
300
это круто.
seconds. It's going to be 360 seconds.
Длительность
and
увеличили. Ну, неплохо, чё.
assist through death.
Наконец-то ты будешь
And the
умирать,
game.
блядь,
And
и
the game.
такой,
And the
блядь,
game.
не просто сразу зря 500 монет.
Да-да-да.
You've already done it.
То есть
You're there.
неплохо.
Close it
You're at
out.
the finish line. Learn to siege and just end the game.
Yeah, exactly.
After late game potions,
Так,
we'll move
тут
on
что
to
за
mage
трека?
items. Overall, before we
A
get
lot
to
of
the mage
mage changes,
items,
yeah.
what we do some mage changes here?
Нет.
Why?
А,
We're
нет,
still working
обычно
on
тоже.
the fallout of the Rotted
Какой?
change, I would mostly say. Like, that was a
Elixir
really
of
big
Defense,
change.
раньше такой
Yeah.
был, разве?
We've seen
А это
mages
за
fluctuate
3000
power really
на
heavily.
защиту.
I think we're getting really close to the right spot, but we had a couple mage item passives that felt really redundant. Kind of like bonus damage on top of bonus damage, and like it was kind of
Ха,
weird that
поменяли Властителя душ, он теперь имеет такой же пассивку, как и палочка, вот это, что при каждом скилле, короче, типа, имеет 10 секунд КД. Ну, знаете палочку, что при каждом скилле максимально здоровье бьет.
А, небесный посох.
Да-да-да, вот он.
Ну, я пока да-да-да. Чувак, ты представь такой предмет на волке купить.
Ну, честно, неплохо. Ну, потому что палочку я бы, ну, блин, иногда хочется купить, потому что у него полезный очень против жирных противников, очень полезный баф, но, блин, сама по себе палка говна. А вот Властитель душ, он статами просто божественен, и теперь не будет так много ваншотный камп, и плюс можно против танка покупать, чем конец.
The passive is whenever you damage an enemy
Так.
god, you steal 8% maximum mana.
Mana steal.
Мгм,
Mana
теперь
drain.
ты
In the game,
небесным посохом будешь пиздить ману у противника.
8% maximum mana as well as 4% maximum health from the target. The stats remain
Такое
stolen for
себе.
45 seconds, and targets affected can have multiple.
Можно раз в
buffs and
15
debuffs at
секунд
once.
спиздить
This can only
процент маны, это
occur
вроде
once every
4%
15
или что-то
seconds. So you
такое.
get it back after 45 seconds?
Yeah,
If-
so
И
it'll
45
debuff
секунд
them
она
to essentially
держится.
steal that, and the
То есть
person
ты на
who
45
applies it will
секунд
get the buff
пиздишь
for it.
Right.
ману.
And then every
Ага.
15 seconds you can reapply it, and because the buff lasts for
честно
45
сказал бы,
seconds,
чтоб
you can
серьезно,
actually have
прям так.
multiple different ones active.
Ну его
at
опять
the
никто не
same
будет
time. So you could
покупать.
stack them
Зачем?
all on one person.
Да.
You could also spread that out over multiple
Если
people.
ну, Фокс,
So you can
Фокс,
actually get
здорово.
quite a bit of
Фокс,
bonus
давно
maximum
тебя не
mana
было.
and bonus maximum health. Which makes sense for this item because it's more of a tanky item. It has
Да-да-да.
health on it. It's really kind of more defensive oriented for the mages. So this can really ramp up and give you a lot of stuff. And the maximum mana will come into handy with some other changes we're talking
It's,
about.
Okay.
it's a really interesting item passive. You know,
Yeah.
Mana bin.
another notable thing from Soul Reaver is we took out
Мне кажется,
the
вот да, его рели еще больше не будут покупать. Тогда еще иногда покупали, чисто ради хп и урона.
Right, so
Сейчас
Now
вообще
the E-staff
такой
is
себе.
it's even better E-staff.
Still only once per ability, though.
Once
right?
per ability.
Okay.
Okay.
And then Ethereal Staff, yeah, this is this kind of like, I don't know, like really
Ну,
kind
конечно,
of draining
посмотрим, может, у
ability.
него
You
там,
can actually get
как
bigger.
всегда,
You can
забагуется, и
get
можно
bigger
будет
tanky stats
спиздить
and
маны,
mana health, max
блядь,
mana
без
health,
кида, и
while
ты
draining
останешься
their
без
mana.
маны, то да
We're
будет
trying to find
покупать,
out a way to
конечно.
incorporate mana drain in an interesting
Ну
way,
пока,
and
пока
this
он
is
ну,
what we're
нормально
really
будет.
excited about it.
After Ethereal
Я
stuff, we're going to move on
такой
to Book of Thoth next. This is going to get
Книга
changed to
Тота.
increased cost from 2650 to 2800.
Дороже стало,
Reduced
ой.
magical power from
Дороже
100
стало.
to 80. Increased
И,
mana from
меньше
125
Больше
to
маны
50,
дает.
so that's double.
Ну, больше маны
Increased
дает,
mana
и теперь
conversions
не
from
3% от маны
3%
идет
to
в
5%
массива, а
evolution.
5%.
Identity
Ну,
change
это
slightly here,
жестко.
or just like
Ну да,
focused
это
on different
жестко.
directions?
Focused. It's
Yeah.
focused
Там
on
вроде
that.
уменьшили
Didn't too much of everything. It was a little
силу,
split.
которую
It's
надо дает
kind of losing
вообще.
its place in the meta. Now it's
А, да?
clearly the mana
Да, да.
conversion is more powerful.
А,
and
там вроде,
more mana,
да, он сказал,
but less
вроде
overall
там
power.
не
And it especially gets more powerful when you actually get the
Ну, не, я
stats
чуть не
up,
понял.
which a lot
Там
more
Что
people
меньше?
actually buy
сразу,
it. Yeah, this is
типа,
good.
то, что
Yeah,
сам
right.
предмет дает
Now
тебе
actually
силу,
building the
он
stats
там
are a
меньше
lot
дает
more
силу.
Wait, you mean
Теперь.
us as casters
Не
need to
100,
get
а
new
80
lines
вроде
of
так.
Book of Thoth and
Ну,
it's,
типа,
well,
я
the
понял,
stacks don't really
типа,
matter on this
еще
side, so you're not
медленнее
worried
стал,
about it.
типа,
And
You can
if
actually
it
начало.
stacks matter now.
The rest of your
Alright.
build synergy matters more too.
Ну, 3-5% это много достаточно.
Так, книга мертвых дает
Book of the Dead.
ХП.
Book of the Dead no longer provides health. The shield now calculates based on your
Да,
total
теперь не
mana, not
щит,
current
не на
mana. Increased
тащу,
passive mana shield from 50%
Ага.
to 20%.
Ну, книга, которая
Lower
давала
health
раньше 200
threshold
хп, вроде
for
200
passive
маны,
50%
100 силы, и
to
когда тебе
40%.
мало
Focus
хп,
on the passive.
15%
Да,
вот
So more about the passive making
маны
it
идет
more
в щит.
stand out, but
Теперь
it's got no health.
оно
Yeah, so the
дает
passive really
20%
saves
от
you when it
текущей
pops,
маны
but will
щит,
shield you for a bit more
и
based on your mana,
не
so you get
при
more mana
50%
synergy.
здоровья,
Also
а
have the
когда
lower health
40%
threshold
здоровья.
trigger, which means that it will happen more often to save you versus just popping when you didn't really need it. But yeah, the health's gone. So the tankiness is focused on the passive entirely, not on the base item itself.
Okay. Next on the
Это
list is
чё?
Sorcerer's Staff and Warlock Staff.
Это вроде
Sorcerer's Staff reduced mana from
стакающийся
175
хп,
to
правильно?
100, and Warlock Staff reduced mana from 400 to 200.
Меньше маны
I'm
дает.
guessing you give identity focus again if these do mana and these do.
And Warlock stuff is a
Yeah.
health item,
Right.
Yes.
right?
Okay.
So nerf the meta.
Also stops that Warlocks plus book
Yeah.
Correct.
То
build
есть,
from being like...
после еще хуже стал.
Typhon's Fang reduced magical power from 100 to 80, increased bonus magical power from your lifesteal total from an equal amount to twice the amount.
Right. So that's at most about 50 more power, like if you're maxing lifesteal, which pretty much no one does.
Это
But
та
this is again
что штука,
focused
что,
on
короче,
Okay.
So now if you're in,
давала
like, a
процент,
two
ну, типа,
lifesteal item
увеличивала
type build,
силу
you're gonna get
от
more power
вампиризма,
out of
что
this than
такое,
you did
типа,
before,
и
because we're just nerfing the flat power, bucking them.
ну,
So
Time
ну,
Goob is
знаешь,
I
что за
take
штука,
that
такие,
mask
типа,
that makes me
три
do
капельки,
more
такие
damage
зубца.
and move very slowly.
Да.
I'm
Не
looking
Вот.
физила, а
И
макс
оба.
good. And then
сила.
I get
Короче.
Typhon's Fang, I'm looking good.
Неплохо.
I won't lie to you.
Ну, там я-
Goobus was
ща.
in the front of my brain.
Там
while
просто,
looking
типа,
at
больше
that.
максилок, типа,
Often.
дается.
That's why I brought him up, because I'm like.
But it wasn't just
Это
Goobus.
неплохо.
Wasn't just Goobus, but it's definitely good on Goobus.
Bancroft's Talent gonna get a small cost increase. Like
Bancroft меньше стоит.
2400 to 2500 gold now.
Как раз не хватало
So
несколько
change
монет,
there.
чтобы покупать
Restore
банку
artifact,
этого барона.
increase MP5
Это
from
круто.
20 to 15, so a
That's the
little
tier
bit
2.
more
Yes.
of that. That's
Tier
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 2
two.
of Rod of Tahuti and Chronos.
Right, because people would be freaking out if that's tier
That's tier
1.
one.
Yeah, big
Yes.
nerf. But tier 2.
Это предмет перед Тахути, по идее. Вот этот. Он теперь меньше
А, теперь меньше
реген
маны
маны
дает.
дает,
Increase
да.
magical power from 100 to 90, but
Ну, он
decrease
реально
the
много
MP5
маны давал.
from 25 to 20. So just
Нет,
a
ты мне покупаешь
Just a
Хронос,
striker.
и
It's
все,
a very
забываешь о мане почти.
catch-all type of item.
Yeah,
Does it
lots
get
of power,
CDR?
lots of
Не
regen,
знаю,
and
Фокс.
CDR plus CDR breaking.
Сказал бы.
So just focusing more on the CDR.
After season 5 changes, it came back in a big way.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
Чисто
Ага.
региональные
Mage
начали.
items then, we're onto one
Теперь
of the
посох
CPS
Хай-Реза
next.
дает только
Passive
баф для
effect
скиллов,
now only
не для
increases
банок, ни
heals
для
from
чего.
abilities. No more potions, lifesteal, or FG buffs.
Нет для лайфстила,
Yeah, we're gonna keep
нет
a close eye on
для
this one too.
фаерджайнта бафа,
Lifesteal is
только
gonna be
для
a
бифа.
question mark, I think.
That's the one that a lot of people be like, life 6
Yeah, it's pretty
Я думаю,
cool to be able
если
to
честно,
use it
он
that
раньше
way.
только для билки действовал.
Нет, для всех.
The real thing is we wanted
Что
to
в
go
радиусе
and make
увеличивается
it
реген
Я
любой.
не знал, что он делал лайфстила,
Could heal
даже
you a huge
чистить,
amount
нихуя.
with a
Yeah.
rod, so.
Okay.
Да.
Rod of healing, same as Rod
Ну
of
там вроде
Rescue.
Fire регенил не 10, а 12.
Ну, фаер это понятно, а вот
Zingles.
не знал, что именно для лайфстила.
Next up is Oni Hunter's God, so I guess we're moving into physical, or at least defensive.
So we went mages, now we're going to defensive.
So what's going on with defense?
We're not going alphabetical, we're going in themes.
I know,
Yeah.
we do that on these patches
Just some
sometimes.
slight
Это не
changes. We
та
wanted to be
штука,
careful
что,
with the support items. We didn't want any big overhauls because of the conquest.
Это красный такой нагрудник. Он дает стеки, понижающие входящий в него
Ну я
урон.
знаю, я думал просто это что другое, я хотел его предложить.
Это он, да. Это неплохой
Ну
баф.
это круто.
Там...
Я думал, раньше у него 3 было в этой пацаны, кстати.
Нет, у него было 2, и там вроде 6 максимум можно, а теперь 9 по идее.
Теперь 3% и 6 макс тоже стало.
Mid-Guardian Male is the next on the list.
Неплохо,
Increased cost from
Ну типа не, ну
23
типа, я бы увеличили.
Decreased the movement speed slower.
Чуть-чуть там
attack speed
буквально
slower from
чуть-чуть.
10% to 8%.
На 3%, не на
So still
100%.
the same amount of
Yeah,
stats, just
Midgard
a little bit
понерфили.
stronger.
Yeah, it was a bit strong even when you weren't
Вкусно.
building it as a
Почему бы
counter.
нет?
The counter
Ну,
was
типа,
very strong. Just toning it down to be a bit
неплохо
more
так.
balanced for its goals.
Okay. After that, we move on to some attack speed items. By the
Ну,
way,
прикольно.
all like assassin-ish items. Is that what I should be looking at here?
Тут лук, что скорость атаки
Да,
давалась
да,
при
да,
стеке.
да.
Duration
6
from
секунд
3
движется.
seconds to 6 seconds.
По-моему, это не будет бесполезно.
Мечик
Attack
еще
speed
люк
from 20%
стоит.
to 30%.
Toxic Blade.
Stone-cutting sword decreased
О,
cost
Toxic
from
Blade круто
26
апнули.
Да.
Неплохо.
Poison
Но
Star
и
decreased damage
звездочку
reduction from 20%
токсичную
to
не фанули.
15%.
Грусть.
Oh, so that's a bit of a hit.
Ну,
Yeah, that
это
was
плохо.
really popular.
Ее и так
especially
меньше покупали, чем
Yeah,
Демон
Демон
Ветра.
Ветра.
considered them to be very strong.
На 100
So it's going to
воды
take
меньше
do
стоит.
a little bit less on that.
Ну, то есть это
We're gonna
красная
decrease the
звездочка.
Да, да, да,
cost
да,
of
да,
this, I
да.
guess, to try and bring it in line with Poison Star a bit more as well. 800 to
Ну,
27.
такое
Also
себе
just
изменение,
pretty
честно.
outclassed by,
И так его слишком часто покупали.
Yeah, Malice,
В
although
отличие
he's
от
the less popular
звездочки.
one, is
Ну,
very
типа,
Ну да.
отравленного скина.
Spectral
Специальная броня
after that
теперь
increased damage
на
taken from
60% больше.
from
Ну,
50%.
А, не, наоборот, не фанули, да?
The wording is because it decreases
Нет, она
it
будет
from
уменьшать
100 to
крит не на
50.
50%
So
урона от
now
крита, а на
increasing the
60.
50 to 60.
Это ап,
So
это...
it's worded in a weird way,
Стоп.
but essentially means
Нет.
it's a nerf. It doesn't protect you as much.
Почему
as it
написано
did.
нерф тогда?
Я не знаю. Я такой задумался.
А, будет проходить по тебе не 50% крита, а 60.
60%,
Да.
я понял.
Да, вот почему нет.
Literally what it is, though.
Warrior Blessing. О,
Warrior
Вова. Warrior Blessing
Blessing
наконец-то понерфили.
And
Неплохо.
maybe Spectral.
Glorious
Он будет
blessing!
постоянно поспеть
Perfectly,
мечтать.
but there was a lot of confusion when we
Неплохо.
first made this passive.
Yeah.
Everybody being like,
Okay.
wait, what happens if I've got Deathbringer? And so I rewrote it a bunch of times.
Spectral
Ну, это было
armor
правильно,
is
его
not
очень часто
as
покупали.
good.
Yes, not as good.
Yeah.
Прям для всех-всех-всех.
Also not as good.
Decreased health
Oh,
from
yes,
100 to 75. Decreased heal and mana restore on trigger from 40 to
Yes.
30. So
Yep.
taking a bit of a health, and you're getting some regen anyway, still in the blue buff still, right?
Yeah,
Still less though.
it's
Yeah.
still less though. But overall, when we first put it out, people thought it was a little bit weak. We buffed it, and then people kind of realized, wait, no, it was actually really, really good.
Yes.
And that caused a
Грустненько,
lot of these soul
грустненько,
lanes to
но
become these boxing
пример
fights,
был
but that
слишком
didn't ever
хороший.
really result in anything. So we're
Это
bringing
было
it down a little
ожидаемо
bit in health, bringing it a
достаточно.
little bit down in sustain, making it so those trades are a little bit more meaningful. Also potentially opening up the pool for other things to go in that lane and be a bit more effective.
Well, more aggression in the solo lane. Just a couple themes we've been going through. More aggression in the solo
Yeah.
lane. A little buffs to in-hand assassins, basic attack assassins. Some equalizing of crit. And watching out for counter items, just having their counters be just way too good.
And I know we went through those notes really quickly because we're trying to make sure that
Yeah, we gotta
actually
keep
get this in
moving.
a
I was
reasonable
We
gonna
time.
gotta
say
keep
this,
moving.
we
We're
could-
We
already
have
late.
dev
There's still
commentary.
more stuff to go.
It's all on the patch
Don't
notes.
worry.
You can read
Very
it.
well written out.
Shift the shield.
Это что,
Moving on, because these guys want to keep
это
complaining about
типа?
the show taking long, and they're like, "I'm so sorry it's taking so long." Shut up!
Shift
let me
shield.
do
All
it.
right, go, go,
Shift
go.
the
Let's
shield.
go, let's go.
Типа, если больше
2500 gold
копать
down to
50%,
2400
то
gold.
больше сил,
Looking
и
for more
это
aggression.
понятно.
Успел,
So,
хотя тогда ты успел при 50%.
Thunder.
Shift Shield это
Cooldown.
вроде бы то, что дает пробитие
Now
в радиусе.
110. Is that the only relic getting changed?
А,
Yeah, we
да-да-да,
really
он
feel
где-то
really good
стоил,
about
да.
relics right
Yeah?
now.
Это 400.
Really good.
Okay.
There's a lot of counterplay. There's a couple that are really popular, beads, Aegis, Sprint, Shell, etc. But there's a lot of good ones that are just very situational and very
Thunder,
good when you
ты
need them. Thunder was the real one that
Нет,
felt
никогда не
really
смотрит, вообще даже никогда не
Even
открывал.
Bracer I've been doing still
Это
gets a
ровно,
lot
что
of
ли?
use, a lot of fun in casual
Я
games.
тоже не понял.
Aggressive dive strats,
Что
it's really
за
cool. But
Thunder?
Thunder
Ну,
wasn't
короче,
so
что
good,
это
so we want to be careful
А
with this
сейчас
one. We know how
посмотрим,
strong
что
it can
это.
be. We've been there. So just a cooldown nerf to make it feel better.
All right, that's your item changes for 513. Got a little
А,
bit of
Сандер это вот,
You
видишь?
somehow got lost during this.
Это что штука, что
Yeah.
процент
That graphics
максимально.
I love this graphic.
А,
This is,
да-да-да.
By the way, we did a lot of changes for items, if you couldn't
Ну,
tell.
когда ему
Plenty of buffs,
встречу?
plenty of nerfs, plenty of shifts.
Грустно,
Some
грустно.
new
мне жалко, что отравленную звезду понерфили.
PTS. Please test those on
Такое.
the PTS. That does it for
Посох
items,
на ХП
but
вообще
that's
стал
it.
не
I
очень.
Can I just request one thing from the master, by the way, when you all go and test them? Put your Twitter avatar as your favorite
Ну,
master.
после на ХП его много раз уже знаешь.
And you just have to see the variety of complaints. Because I'm expecting all three of them are going to
They
go.
are really nice icons. Although
They
we're still
are.
working
Yeah,
on the
good.
Rangdas one. That one's getting some updates, but
Cool.
Yep.
So I guess we did items, so that means we get to do gods now, right?
gods.
Let's do. Let's,
starting off strong.
Бафает
let's
ману.
start off strong with a bit of a
Изменения
rework
походу.
here. Was that
Это
F dot
чтобы
tiers
ману
that I just?
сыграли.
Мне кажется,
Did you
токсик будет
change that
очень
to
хороший
F dot
сейчас.
tiers?
30
F-Dot
скорости
was very
атаки,
involved in the
15
rework,
пробития
and they
вроде,
made sure that
и
the
антихил, это
got
очень
his
круто будет.
approval. He was still skeptical, but
Still
it's
skeptical.
hard
Yeah.
when your god gets reworked. Can I say a quick thing about reworks before we go into
Please
it?
do.
Just want to
Please,
make,
еще
I
тогда
want to
в
make it
стриме
known
не
that
было
our
возможности
goals and
стримить.
our strategies with reworks are different than they were in the past. We don't want reworks to feel like we've completely changed the god anymore. We've done this on a lot of gods recently.
Приходит, не знаю,
Жабаланке,
после
Jean-Qui,
20-21
We've made
где-то.
really targeted big changes, but that really keep the kit as close as it can be.
Right,
So we're
yeah.
trying to look for key problems in the gods and ways to bring them back and give them more interest without changing their core identity. And I know we've suffered from that in the past, and you may disagree
Какое число?
with this
20-й,
Freya rework
21-й.
as far as following that line of logic, but that's really what we're going for.
Well, you took all my thunder. It was gonna be a big reveal that it was
You
a
get
Freya
used to
rework.
that,
Yeah.
though.
Yes.
You're like, hey, I guess
Freya.
rework. Yeah,
Sorry.
just do it, I guess.
So the big thing here is we're reworking the passive, the 1 and the 2. The passive is going to now be Mystic Warrior, and it will be when you use your melee attacks, you will restore a big chunk of your mana, 6% of your maximum mana for every basic attack melee that you do. When you do ranged
Типа её новая
attacks, it's
пассивка,
only
что
2%
ли?
of your max health
Да,
restored. So
походу.
kind of that lifesteal passive
Типа
we had before.
вблизи,
But
если
there's
делаешь
a very
атаку,
clear theme
восстановишь
of melee
6%
versus
от
ranged here that we're trying to focus on.
Okay.
Маны.
маны,
So what,
а
what's going on?
если
How do
дальние
you
атаки,
do
2%
ranged
от КП.
versus melee?
So that's
которого
the 2. That's
миссия,
actually
то есть,
Aurora
которая
Blade
Бедная Фрея,
is now
её
it's
мучает и
the
мучает.
replacement for Pulse. So when you use this ability, you will actually toggle between ranged and melee attacks. When you put a skill point in, you'll start getting bonus damage on your melees and bonus damage on your range attacks. The melee ones just deal more damage, and again, they restore your mana. The ranged ones are now actually pass through until God. So Izanami type projectiles, you can now actually have that on
Это
the
будет
wave
не
as you
очень в
deal
плане
damage.
вампиризма, как в
So
целом,
you can
потому что
toggle
не
that
будет
on,
бафа
but it takes
от
a huge amount of
клыка
mana
вот
per
этого.
swing. I think at the
Такое.
max rank, it's 58 mana per shot. So
Okay.
you can kind of see here when you activate that, you can actually choose when you want to range attack as freely as you want. Before you had to like pop the stim, and you could only deal the damage during the stim, and then you felt kind of like
No,
weak
лучше
before.
уране
Now
быстрее.
you can pop this, use the range
Лучше,
attacks when
да,
you want
но
to,
урона будет
and then you
поменьше.
can also turn them off
Да.
and restore your mana with your
Выживаем
melee
всеми.
attacks.
Okay, so that's a change to pulse, but it's always been pulse and irradiate
Yes.
together. So,
Right.
so
Урона
what's
тоже,
the
да.
what's the deal with the one these days?
No, you got it, Pod. You got
Okay,
this one.
so the change to the 1 is now Northern Lights. This ability is a single attack stim. When you pop it, your next melee or range attack will cause the target that you hit to explode, dealing AoE damage and slowing targets. Yes.
Targets. Okay.
So the big thing here is like you can activate the 1 here. You can see the toggling between the 2 and the range attacks and the melee attacks. But the next attack you deal will explode, dealing damage in AoE
То
and
есть
slowing
второй
AoE
скилл
in AoE.
бафает
So you can use this as a very powerful
еще
just
ближние
immediate
атаки
burst on
так,
single
чтобы...
target. You
То
can
есть
also use this with your
делать
2. And
дальними,
remember how the 2
и
passes through.
если ты вблизи
If
бьешь,
you have
он
your 1
типа
active,
уешь.
it passes through all the targets. You hit them all with that attack. It explodes on every target
Ну
it
типа не
passes through.
фанули, типа
The
что такое.
damage is modified so that ranged base, the explosion on minions is a little bit less, so you're not just immediately
А
going
первый
up the
скилл
wave.
первая атака,
But
я
it
понял,
does
а
explode
уешь.
at it. So if someone stands in the mini wave and you see them standing there, pop that 2-1, throw it through the
Да,
mini wave and have them
грустно. Очень
explode with all the
грустно.
minions around them.
Oh, Banish is still there.
Really
Thank God.
грусть.
And Banish is still there.
Banish is exactly the same, unchanged,
You have me
and her
scared.
ultimate is getting a slight damage nerf actually, just to
Yes.
kind of even out her kit. But core goals with Freya was that she was very binary.
Yes.
She was
И
did
теперь третий
pretty
скилл
much
дамажит.
nothing, and then she just
Что?
absolutely shredded.
Третий скилл
We
дамажит.
wanted to give Freya
Третий
players
скилл дамажит.
more control, but and also even out that power. So now the toggle,
Хз,
you can
зря
stay
её
hunter
тролли.
mode for a
Раньше
much
было
longer
лучше.
time than you could with Pulse Irradiate before. But you're going to run out of mana eventually, and you'll need to earn it back.
Почти,
But you
да.
can also,
Посмотрим.
if you don't
Пока
want
что
to
не
use the
очень
ranged
всё
attacks
хорошо.
anymore, you can toggle it back off, and you'll get a much bigger bonus damage on her melee attacks. Her melees hit hard.
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean,
So
you're-
she is like, we really, so the things that were interesting with us for Freya that we
should,
wanted to
Northern
preserve
Lights,
were that
should-
combo
что
feature of
skill?
her abilities and the synergy,
Это
as well as
второй
her hybrids.
А, ну,
So
значит,
she is
второй
really
просто
like
изменили
a
команду.
basic attack
Да.
assassin mage,
Yeah.
and
Блять,
a mage
может,
ADC,
по-моему, не очень будет.
jungler,
Они
and she could
чисто
even
такое
flex. Like, she
себе.
has so much
Очень хуёвое изменение.
ways to play her
Yeah.
with this new design that we're really excited to
А,
find
и оно
out
проходит
which
сквозь крипов.
application turns out to be her real role,
Right.
but also that players who like Freya will be able to make her work.
Да, но чисто чтобы лучше чистить лайн, но как соло дамаг, наверное, больше не будет такой жесткой, как раньше. Привет, Квартекс.
But he could only detonate that once
Такое
at a
себе.
time. So really,
Ну теперь лучше на лайне стоит, но не
what we
такая
love about this
жесткая.
rework too is if you're
Далеко
playing
не
as an
так
old school Freya
жесткая.
player and you use
Очень
the pulse for the
еще не
single
очень.
pulse and then switch to a radiant
Грусть, печаль.
for the more bonus damage, it'll feel very similar to that.
Скорее
You do
всего,
the
Фрея
1-2,
минус.
your first
Ну,
shot,
это рили
the
очень
pulse and
грустно.
slow, and then you follow up with a bunch of regular
Yeah.
shots as well.
Okay.
Ну, посмотрим, посмотрим, как будет на деле.
The lower third came down there. The mana, you do consume a decent amount of mana, but you get a ton back.
Такое.
Yeah, you
whenever you do the melee.
This one's currently a bug that'll be on PTS, but we'll fix it later on, where it's actually restoring based off your missing mana. It'll actually be max. So you saw there that every swing was actually restoring 35 mana.
Як я понял, я еще
you can see going
мана
up to, like,
кост увеличил
42
из-за того,
mana.
что у него
Like,
пассивка
you restore a
мана дает.
lot per melee hit, but it does take a lot to actually
And this
cast those
design
ranged
allowed us
attacks.
to buff her melee damage a lot. Like her melee damage hits much harder than her ranged, which is just a cool application of Freya.
Jungle Freya?
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jungle
yeah,
Freya,
that's
I
right.
think, yeah.
Back hit.
But also, I mean, ADC Freya, even maybe mid lane Freya.
Хз. Это нужно быть смотреть в тренировке, что такое, типа, ну,
The
типа,
mana stays the same. Slight nerf
на
on damage
практике
to
будет
Valkyrie's
смотреть.
discretion. That gets a decreased damage per blast. Was 100 to 240, now 80 to 220, so 20 damage off all ranks.
Я
Нет,
понял,
не
еще мана кост
показывает. Ты
увеличили
успел.
из-за того, что у него пассивка мана
20%
дает.
if you hit all of them. A pretty substantial damage nerf, but let's be real, Valkyrie's discretion is nuts as is.
So.
The real changes here, 1 and 2 get changed. 2 is
Непонятно,
now a
зачем так жестко
toggle
ребалансить
melee
персонажа.
/ range, but
Такое.
you can leave it on,
Yep.
but it drains your mana per shot. The 1 has the slow on it and will also boost that wave clear up a little bit.
Yep.
And single fire. So yeah, this is our big rework for the patch. Freya has been historically very difficult to balance.
Yes.
Not in that she doesn't have ways we can tweak her, but in ways where when she does tend to be favored by the meta, she takes over.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when she's unfavored, she completely falls out of existence. As well as her play count has been really down lately, so we just wanted to, bring her back and make her more exciting. So
Yeah.
hopefully people find this fun.
I, for one, welcome our
Лайк поставлю.
that's fine by me.
Grip buffs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ring buffs were recent, by the
They
way.
did, yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I wonder what that timing was about.
Yeah, Tuckhine's demonic.
So
It's
we
like
got
a soul
another
promise,
pretty big change, but not quite as dramatic as
Yeah.
Freya.
Бакасура меняет.
Yeah, exactly. Bakasura getting a really exciting change in my mind. Now, takedown. By the way, this ability
Не
has always reduced
забирается.
protections of those you hit by it. It's just like one of those things that everyone doesn't really seem to recognize
Yeah.
about this ability. That's
Не
his
знаю,
one
какой
elite.
скилл, но
Now
какой-то
we'll
скилл
Это
just
третий,
Бакасура.
по
everyone to
идее.
take
Да,
more
и
damage
теперь он
whenever they're
не
lit.
забирает
10%
защиту,
From
а...
all sources.
А, первый,
This
первый,
This
первый.
actually
Если
has
что-то
Герой.
different
видно.
implications for your magical
Да, но
damage
теперь он,
fields,
значит,
but your Butcher's Blade True
дает,
damage
чтобы
will
на
actually now be
10%
augmented
больше
by it.
противники
Which is just kind
получают
of,
дамаг.
that's kind of the theme of
Ну,
a
это
lot of
круто.
changes we did to Bakasura here. Was
Вместо
rather than like rework
забирания
abilities, we took
щит.
existing parts of his kit,
Это
tried to
неплохо,
increase the
почему бы и
synergy
нет?
between all the
10%
different
да?
abilities.
неплохо.
Это много.
Вместо 15 не пробития вроде или 10
I did.
получше.
And
Vaughn,
played a lot
didn't
of
you
Bakasura.
play a lot of Bakasura back in the
Yes,
day?
I did.
Oh, when's the Zeus buff coming, huh?
Hey, look, mages took over for a little bit. I can have my time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vaughn is a fan of these like fringier gods that
Yeah,
are not
always.
usually considered meta or often not as popular. So that's why.
Это почти имбу
This is
бафует.
this is the
Сказать, что прям
Pon
баф,
Pon stuff
но
buff.
неплохо изменение.
I'm
Почему?
super excited for this. This is like
Фрей-
my favorite
be
thing.
insane.
Фрейя такое
Eat
себе
minion also
изменение
getting a
вроде.
buff, decrease the post-fire animation time from 0.7 to 0.2 seconds.
Wow.
О, ура, теперь показывает,
That's,
кто
yeah, that's a
владеет,
lot. But
как у вас
also this
есть.
little indicator right here that shows you who can be eaten at any given time. This will make those who might not play as much Bakasura.
Это, по идее, анимация быстрее стала.
Да, анимация
Это очень
As a
круто.
more normal average Bakasura player
Бафает
really appreciates
или
it.
Хроноса.
Like,
Ничего не показывали, вот
as
только
you
второго
kill
бога. До
the
этого
buff,
Фрейю,
that blue
Бакасура,
jaws
а
light
еще...
up, you can just gobble.
Yeah,
Еще
before
не
you'd have
всех
to like
показали.
check, like, okay, can I eat this big camp now? No, okay, I'll hit one more time. Can I eat it now? Okay, now I can.
A little bit easier there for you. Okay. And
Да,
then
анимация стала
regurgitate. This
быстрее.
is
Это
my favorite
хорошо.
Oh
one.
my god.
Okay. So increase the projectile speed from 80 to 120. Let's just move past that because Bakasura may now choose to eat his own minion pets from this ability.
So let me get this right.
Он
He
может
vomits-
съесть
he eats
свои
something,
копии.
he vomits it up, and then he shoots
Это-
it
Just
again.
like-
Это неплохо.
Just like whenever King Neptune eats the Krabby Patty for the first time.
Это очень
That was
круто.
so
Вот
good,
это
I think
круто.
I'll have it a
И
second
не нужно
time.
искать крипа, просто ультуешь.
Да. Ты можешь в бою похилиться, типа, это очень круто.
Oh, I'm going to. Don't worry. I'm
Don't
gonna
steal that. Someone
Now
else
no
steal it.
one can take it from me.
Yeah,
I've
right,
already
it's your idea.
claimed it already. So that's the Bakasura
Квартекс там
changes.
показывали
Yeah,
новые
and I just
предметы,
wanna point out
маски,
why
они
all
очень
these changes are
жесткие.
happening.
Там очень сильные бафы даются, поэтому, по-моему, борт будет таким же жестким. Еще больше жестким. Его не сказать, что сильно понерфили. Но изменения пока 40 классные, хотя он не так сильный. Или итемы, это полноценные итемы, 3 штуки.
Чувак написал ритма и Дэймон Транкин дуэль. Типа, чтобы Косура ебать будет дуэли.
Да, будет. Это очень жесткое изменение, серьезно. Это именно то, чего ему не хватало. Типа... Апуч.
Теперь эта штука Пуча будет кидать без зомби, ну, первый, что бежат. Две все время.
Две всегда, да. Ну, неплохо. Или то и другое, и то и другое. Общий предмет. Там 3 разные, на гварда, на убийц и на мага. Ну, типа, можно всем брать, но по квалификации примерно так.
20% healing reduction applied. That stacks up to 3 times and will last for 5 seconds. Kind of doubling down on his identity as an anti-heal mage.
Exactly, aggro.
Nice. Oh, man. I nailed it there.
Yeah.
Projectiles will now also pass... Wait, hold on. Projectiles
Чё?
pass through walls.
Они идут сквозь всё?
Stuff they would hit would stop them, those little guys. Now they just go through and continue hitting.
And it'll now persist after death?
Correct.
Они теперь игнорируют любые преграды и бегут до конца.
Ну это пиздец.
Ну это такое, да. Это грусть.
Блять, ну через стенки это круто, но то, что они не становятся через игроков, это херово.
Да, через игроков очень херово, но через стены. И когда крипы, вот крип упирается в текстурку трупа, это очень хуево. А сейчас это круто, но игнорирует богов. Такое.
We're going to get a bunch of different passive reworks here that we're going to go over, and they all have one theme in common. We are taking crit passives out.
We want to avoid early game, very low percentage.
Странное изменение.
It just has too much RNG, too much impact on the game.
По идее, если типа рассчитывать, куда побежит враг и бросать отлично, то это очень крутой баф. Прям очень. И спрятаться от пуча будет сложно намного.
Ну теперь ему дистанцию нужно держать все время.
Just happens.
Exactly.
So we want these gods to still have good synergy with crit builds if you want to go that way.
Yep.
But we're keeping, it's okay for us, we think, to have crit on true ability stims,
Значит,
like
я
Neja stim and like
не прочитал.
Это, по идее, третий скилл будет дамажить больше по крипам, но меньше по богам.
Не, это пассивно.
So we'll start with Artemis, you mentioned
Разве?
her.
Ну,
Still Target is the name of
Я
her new
не
passive.
успел почитать
Her
название
basic
скилла.
attacks will now deal 30% more damage to enemy minions and 10% more to enemy gods who are CC'd by anything. So she will really set herself up for great success with Caledonian Boar, suppress the insulin as a slow.
Especially that trap.
Yeah,
that's
the
a long
trap.
CC.
So you're still going to get
Ну, как я
crushed.
понял, там
There's
какой-то контроль,
115%
короче, она
scaling
типа
on the
увеличивает
basics while you're
урон
on
за
trap,
атак на
and those crits will
30%.
double that.
My favorite thing is the name change of that.
То есть если, ну они там примерно ложились, то если типа
It was hilarious.
что там в ловушке, то это именно на 30% больше урона от атак.
No, that was actually it the whole time. We thought that was special.
Oh, wow.
And shout outs to pro feedback on that one too.
I actually didn't know what it was going
Мне
on.
же теперь не имеет крита в своей
I'm sure they
пассивке.
helped a lot.
Still Target. You mentioned Naja as well. Naja has
Oh,
crit in his
Нежа.
passive. Will now have a new
Квартекс заказывал.
well,
Still has
not
crit in
anymore.
his stim, but not in his passive.
That's right. Buff stacks will
Теперь
now
он
no longer
дает
provide
вместо
critical
критов
strike
и
chance
силу
from
и
like
скорость
his
передвижения.
passive. Instead, these buff stacks will provide 0.5% movement speed and 1 physical power per stack. So if you aren't a big Naja player, you can get up to 20 stacks from that passive.
10% скорости передвижения и 20 силы на максимум. Ну, типа, для конквы лучше, но если там 3 на 3 всякое, то крит, конечно, лучше будет.
Да. Такое.
Ну, а так фармить намного лучше будет. Он быстрее двигается. Это круто.
Да, но против богов не так эффективно будет.
Ну да, я же говорю, типа, это опять круто, но в 3 на 3.
I see it as a strong buff to Naja and his overall consistency. It's going to be better for his abilities, better for his lane poke when he can rotate some of the rings. Very excited for this.
I mean, it's not like Naja's been tearing it up recently, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
he's had some popularity amongst the pros and relatively weak across the board for the average player.
Yeah, just because Sino's playing it doesn't mean that everyone's playing Erlong jungle either. You know what I mean? Like, there are the Naja specialists out there, but this will help out all of us pleb Najas on the battlefield. Hunbats, he's got a crit passive, so now he's got a different passive. Infused strikes. Now this buff now has no duration. Instead, it will remain until he successfully hits a target.
Теперь на следующую автоатака дает на 20% больше
Да, Квартекс, ты верно сказал.
урона.
20% more damage.
Oh lord.
Yep.
So it's kind of like you're getting
Типа маленького плача гидры.
Да.
Хз, с критами было получше.
He
Опять.
basically
Да,
has
ну, они
Instead of
поэтому
from
забирают
100 to 200, he will go from 120 to 240.
Okay, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
So it literally is just Hydra's passive.
Yeah.
As a passive. pretty much.
Lots of increased consistency. Still having that playstyle of using abilities and gain bonus damage that kind of Hydra's and his passive encouraged. Still works well with crit builds as a whole. Pretty good changes.
Encouraging in-hand cancels and
Yep.
weaving in basics between abilities, which is really fun on Assassins.
Hunbat's also getting a couple extra changes besides just the passive. His
Some
overhead
quality of life.
smash.
Yeah.
No longer affected by directional movement penalties while this ability is firing.
Well, that's
so you
OP.
can,
Speedy monkey.
Yeah, you can
He'll be
He can
floating
juke around now.
Yeah, he can
juke
juke while
around
smashing.
a little bit.
Oh my god.
Fear no
I
evil.
love
Sorry.
juking when I smash.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Fear no evil.
Это типа,
Fear
когда
no
он
evil,
мапочку
making it a little
бросает,
bit
да?
easier to deploy. You can now deploy this in walls, so you don't have to worry about
Yeah,
it.
and
Did
I
you
wouldn't
guys
recommend it
Styanki?
most of the time because
No.
you might not hit people. But the problem was there was some. If you're in a tighter spot of the jungle and you don't want to get blocked by like random blocking volumes that are just right near you and stuff like that.
Равана
You wanna make sure
теперь,
you can-
Это правда? Да, Квартекс, это правда.
Okay.
Веселый
Robin
хатико.
is
Привет,
getting
веселый
a pretty
хатико.
big shift. He doesn't have any crit in his passive.
По-любому
We'll
кто-то
pass
из...
that.
Равана убить.
But hey,
Первый раз
he's an
привет.
assassin now.
Well, they wanted an assassin, guys, so you gave him one, right?
О,
Yeah,
Романа
we
теперь
used it,
ассасин?
and we
Да.
got two
Ого, ну это было ожидаемо достаточно,
Until
но...
Robin, you got two. Well, there is an assassin coming.
От ранки до конквы.
Yeah, Robin is an
В
assassin.
конкву ранки можно ходить только соло теперь.
Yeah.
Much more often than Warrior.
Бля, прикольное
Solo lane
изменение.
Robin we haven't seen in years.
Yeah.
Не, ну это было рили ожидаемо, что Романа сделает ассасином.
So
Это,
we
блин...
go all the way,
Сука,
finish him up,
жестко.
make him a real true assassin. So it's a slew of base stat changes. You're gonna read them all. It's a lot.
Yeah, I guess
You
I
know,
kind of have to
Pretty
because sort of decreased
Oh.
HP, base HP, loses 50 base HP. He loses some HP per level, loses some base HP 5. Increased the HP 5 per level though because that is in line with how assassins.
Да, ну типа уменьшает баф,
warriors
типа
are.
плюсы
Decrease
воина.
the base MP5
Да, меньше
by a little bit.
защиты.
Also
А зачем?
decrease the MP5 per level by a little bit. This is the bigger ones. Decrease base
больше
physical protection from
урона от
16
атак.
down to 13. Doesn't seem like a lot, but you'll feel it. Increase the basic attack power from 35 to 39, so that it will help
Больше
him.
скорость атаки намного.
Ну, это
Increase the basic
неплохо.
attack power per level from 2 to 2.2.
Ассасин,
and increase
он
the
меня
attack speed per level from
вылез.
1 to 1.7.
Да в смысле, нормально.
Almost, yeah, it could be played as a basic
Нормально.
attack assassin.
Ну,
Especially with his
автоатаки
ability
очень
to
сильно
protect
обновили.
himself, it could be
С
really
1 до
Especially
1.7
with
это
his
очень
passive,
круто.
Which also got a change. Didn't have any crit trends in it, but the shield didn't feel quite as warrior-y. Wanted to give a change there, I suppose.
Yes.
So
Так,
first of
если
all, you'll
себе
now
башню
gain stacks for
теперь пассив.
structures, just a little bit of a quality of life change there. But you gain stacks per target hit as well, so that'll help out.
Да,
with
неплохо,
clearing
неплохо.
jungle camps and things
And
like
if you
that.
Когда
Yeah,
щит
when you rotate
активный,
through
что там на
And
3%
bonus
больше?
3% movement speed per
А.
stack while the shield
Просто
is active. So
типа
Передвижение
каждый стак дает
but it'll go up to 9%
6% движения.
potentially.
Да, да,
More
да.
about getting him around the jungle and making him
Блин,
feel like a true
он теперь очень хороший джанглер будет,
That's what
прям
all these shows
очень.
are for, is to make sure that
Ну
the-
да.
it's not just
Зачетно.
base stats that make a character an assassin or warrior. The slight tweaks to the ability also help make that work.
Sure. 10-hand Shadow Fist, that's the 3.
Урон увеличили.
Теперь Кали сосет у Раваны или
Даун
как?
меньше.
70%. You were already
Да,
building
она и раньше вроде сосала, потому что ульта у нее не
overhead
вецы.
kick. This one, a bit of a shift was the cooldown
Тиран
was
не
20
делает
and it would
сильно.
scale down 2 seconds per rank. Down
Ему
to
еще
12
больше урона
seconds.
сделали,
Now
меньше
with
кулдаун
18
вообще
scaling down
easy.
to 14. So
Бля, неплохо.
a lot of pro
Круто.
Robins had started
Не,
to
кулдаун
level the
у
2,
него рили очень долгий был.
the 1 to get that decreased
Это
cooldown.
в
That
кулдаун
sounding
второго
a little
скилла,
bit
по
worse
идее.
now,
Yeah.
but you can
Yeah.
level, you can afford to level your 3 and not have that 20-second base cooldown.
Неплохо.
Perfect. That's Robin for you.
So basically, he's now got assassin stats, so he's going to kill you quicker, but he should die quicker.
Yes, in like one of the fights we had, like he was
Defendida, то
noticeably
ей
squishier.
Right.
плюс.
Okay.
So a little bit
И
more
easy.
traditional to what
Битсы,
you would
конечно,
expect out
очень
of
долго.
the jungle selection. Also, for me, I would always just be like, all right, I'm jungling. What do I want? I'm in the assassin tab. I totally forget about Robin, and then I'm like, oh, Robin would have been perfect here. That is
Yeah.
a personal buff.
And you will see him now in the assassin tab, and it feels a little weird
Да,
the
Кали
first time.
сильнее,
Yeah,
но все
I
же.
bet. All right, you'll get used
It'll get.
Романа
Больше,
больше нравится.
used to it. We got used to
меньше
seeing
mana
Nemesis
cost.
there, I suppose.
Yep.
Anubis is next up on the list. Nothing
О,
major.
а по
for the
Анубису?
Dude Master, just a couple mana cost reductions. Plague of Locust, decreasing
Не,
mana cost. It was 60 to
такое.
100,
Mana
and now will be
cost
60 to 80.
уменьшили
so taking it
Анубису.
off the top end. Grasping Hands, that was 70 to 110, will now be 70 to 90. Also, just off the top end. Anubis, I mean, those mana costs are really,
Yeah,
really
110.
high.
Yeah, they were very high.
Oh.
So just some updating there. And now we're into the more, we don't have as many themes to the upcoming balance. This is more general God balance now.
Right.
So that was all the big stuff. Now we're going to God balance.
Well, let's move on to Baron Samedi.
He's been pretty good
Okay,
at
so-
it.
You missed a huge one
В
for Apollo.
описании
Oh,
темы.
yeah.
Sure
Oh,
did.
Ultimate description.
Fix the ultimate description.
Apollo.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Fixed an old description.
I'm to
Come
fix.
on, guys.
To
Yes,
fix.
cool. Baron
get through
Samedi.
this.
He's been a bit strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little.
He was really strong. We nerfed him. Still pretty good.
Yeah.
Опять
So
нерв.
we're gonna nerf him again.
Okay,
Yeah,
here's the
это
nerfs.
нет,
Hysteria.
это
A
визуально.
skill that appears to show a
Визуально.
player is affected by
Да.
hysteria.
Теперь да, нет.
Ну
На
вот.
10 дамага.
Я же говорю.
Good, because
I'm
that
going to move
was
that over
really
to the
annoying.
side.
Vivid
Скиллы
Gaze
чуть
damage
меньше.
decreased. It was 80 to 280. It's now going to be 60 to 240. And the scaling's going down on this. as
На
well.
10.
Ай, чуть меньше.
На 40.
хила,
Там на 40
чуть
меньше урона на максимальном уровне.
Heal.
На
It
40.
was plus 50%
Неплохо,
of the target's missing
неплохо.
health. It's now going to be
Ну, слишком мало
12.5%. Wrap it up as well. Change slow to root to a new CC term, ramp to root.
Yes.
The ramp up to root is considered a root for all CC immunity purposes, and if it is cleansed, it will result in the full root not applying. Decrease the damage over time and Hysteria AoE duration from 4 seconds to 2.5 to match the ramp to root effects. This causes the overall
Нормально,
damage
гипнонули.
this ability does
Да.
to go from 80 to 336.
Ну, хила можно было меньше.
But the
Делать.
actual power
О,
percentage
фу,
was
фу.
40%.
Это ульта получается?
So, lots of
Нет,
nerfs in
нет,
different areas here.
нет,
Heals
не
coming
ульта.
down,
Yes.
the classification of his wrap it up to make it a
Не, да, не
easier to
ульта.
distinguish.
Ну,
If anything,
все равно неплохо.
Chronos-
Неплохо.
He'll also be on this
He's
list.
on here.
Right, okay.
He's ramped to
Сейчас
stuff.
чекну.
Gotcha.
So we were getting a lot of confusion with like, it's a slow and a root. Is it a slow or a root? It's like, it's kind of weird, but really the whole intent behind the design was it is a root that builds up. And they're like, what's the percent of the slow? And I'm like, it's not. It builds up to a root. It gets
Yeah.
stronger over time. And so we did this on both Baron and Chronos. They
Они
count as
да,
just
да,
a
я
root or
понял.
a stun. And they work consistently across immunities.
So as it's ramping up, can you now, that's now saying that I
Ну,
can
неплохо,
use that as it's
неплохо.
ramping up?
Нормально, но, блин, мне кажется, все равно у него
But
очень
being
много хила
slow,
получается.
anything changes.
12%.
Да, хила
Not
много, но
affect
урон
his abilities.
неплохо порезан.
Now-
Ну, все равно, блин, зачем ему столько хила?
They
Это
already
пиздец.
So this is more of a description clarity than actual design change.
And roots in particular have a this is a much more higher level question. They are calculated differently for diminishing returns. They only classify against
Да,
each other.
это змейка, урон
in that
змейки
category.
уменьшили.
Does the
Неплохо.
ramp to root change the root duration because
Где говорится,
it's-
есть соло, мид,
the way
да,
it's
они,
kind of done in the
блядь.
back end is we actually
четверо на
have
миду.
codes that kind of describe
В
things
смысле?
and how they work. It is
Я понял, чем ты
So the end root can be
сомневаюсь, что они
reduced if
такое
you've been
будут делать.
previously rooted.
What?
But it
But-
shouldn't be reducing itself.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
just one
yeah,
root.
yeah. Okay, gotcha.
В смысле Хроноса бафнут? Его так недавно бафали. Еще и предметы апнули на скорость
Focus for
атаки,
him was
кольца,
he's more
все.
kind of this utility mage that brings a lot of effects to his team. He has the heal, he has the movement speed cleanse, he has the CC he can bring. The hysteria stacking has a lot of impact. And a lot of that was getting overshadowed by just the amount of damage he was dealing. So we're toning down the base damage on the 1, toning down the base damage on the 3, which actually did contribute quite a bit of damage.
Oh, yeah.
I think people kind of underestimated how much it was dealing.
Yeah.
And also making it so that that area that occurs now matches the actual ramp to root effects. That'll also make it so that the AoE duration that people can be hit by the snake is also reduced. So just toning down a few aspects of this kit to really also highlight on different aspects. Mainly the
А,
hysteria
как прокастера бафнули? Не, он не будет
We're gonna make
прокастером.
him a utility mage, no matter
Таки,
how hard we have.
нет,
We'll do
Slowly
it.
but surely.
We'll guess it.
сомневаюсь, серьезно.
We will say the word utility and mean it.
Thank you.
Changa is next up on the list, and Changa is going to get 2 changes. Crescent Moon Dance is going to go from 5
Конечно,
seconds
он
to 6
меньше.
seconds in cooldown, and Waxing Moon
Неплохо.
decreased ult damage. It was 160 to 460, going to be 160 to 420. Hey,
She's just really gotten strong lately, popular in pro meta, just making some slight nerfs, you know, normal stuff, not trying to change her identity or anything crazy.
Why not? В 3 на 3 будет
Okay,
легче
and
теперь
yeah,
против
she's
Чани.
finishing a lot of it, so that makes a lot of
Типа,
sense.
в ранке
Chronos
так
next up
не
is
очень был
very similar
приятный
to what we just
персонаж.
talked about. With Wrap It Up, stop time, change slow to stun to a new CC term, ramp to stun.
Yeah.
The ramp up to stun is considered a stun for all CC immunity purposes.
О, вот и
And if it is
Хронос.
cleansed, it will result in the full stun for not apply.
And this does have slight rules change. The biggest clear case of it is, like, for example, I have Magi's. Before,
Right.
if you were hit by it, you would actually slow to a halt, and then when the stun would try and apply, that's when Magi's would get cleansed. Now it actually cleanses immediately.
So Magis will be consumed immediately.
As
on
if you were hit by a
Значит,
stun.
специально
So it's actually a
взяли,
good
типа,
buff for those in that
стан,
way as
но,
well, because
типа,
they can get
шпицы.
rid of those Magis without having to wait for it to
Yeah.
be effective.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
should just be more clear all around.
Yep.
After that, then it's on to Cupid.
Oh, this is exciting.
This one's fun.
Камера висит как
Increased camera
дома.
height from 36 to 64 to give Cupid players a more consistent camera angle compared to other gods.
Yeah, we have a lot of gods who are taller than each other and can see
Yeah.
further, but we don't have a lot of gods who are actually shorter.
Right.
Like
Scylla and Cupid, right?
and I think like even Ratatoskr though,
Yeah,
he
Rat-
was made sure that he was the same camera height as normal assassins, even though
Gotcha.
he's shorter.
Gotcha.
So we bumped up Cupid just to make him feel a little bit.
Is that back to like every other hunter sort of level?
Yeah, the
or-
camera angle should now be the same as like Apollo, the average height hunter.
Okay.
But Zeus and Sylvanus and stuff, gods like that, still have higher ones, but we'd want to avoid these lower ones. If
So-
Scylla's is lower too, I will take a look at that.
For the average player, why is there a big difference between camera height there? For people that don't really understand it, why are we doing that? What's the intention?
So part of it is just feels, right? When like, you're actually that low to the ground, you can often lose the ability to see the kind of the overview of a fight.
Right.
If a whole bunch of abilities are being thrown, you just don't get that feel of actually having that field of view.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few really high level areas where like you might be able to see around a wall.
See more because
if you're
of
like Sylvanus, which has a very high camera height, you might
Yeah.
be able to see around a wall.
Okay.
But those are so limited and doesn't even apply to characters that are like 64 height anyway.
I
This is
think a lot
really
of
just to
people-
get Cupid to see the fight a bit more clearly.
I think a lot of people will go into the game and maybe panic, going, "Why is it like this? This feels really awkward." But there's reason.
It's
for
pretty
that.
subtle too. I don't think people will
Yeah.
notice a huge change. So.
Hades
Oh,
is
I
next
see.
up, and this is a buff to
This is actually really
blight.
Yeah.
Ну
It
да.
has a
Yeah,
debuff
yeah.
effect that lowers the target's magical or physical power by 5%. So once you're effective with 5% less damage.
Yeah, so this one's funny. People have been asking for this forever, but we didn't want to do it. And we didn't do it because Hades could remove Blight. So it was
Right.
weird to have like a debuff effect that then Hades would then cleanse.
But now he can't get rid of it.
So now he can't because we've changed Hades' kit a few times to make Blight just stack and detonate and stuff like that without being removed. So now we can put an effect on it. So since he's a close target AoE mage, we want him to be able to protect himself a little bit more. So he's going to debuff his opponent's damage output.
Okay, only 5 gods left to
Странный
go.
ты кортекс.
Carly,
I'm sad we're almost done though.
passive assist bonus increase. Increase heal on
Okay.
assist from 15% to 20%. It's a really good buff. Actually, for Carly there.
Это за... Когда метка висит, и не ты убиваешь, а убивает союзник, то легенд давался 15%, а теперь будет
He was
20.
been really
20, yeah.
suffering in the stats lately. guys.
Well, he's not
Sorry,
going to be
yeah.
suffering after this patch, I'll tell you.
We'll
that
see,
much.
we'll see.
Скоро
People always say that, but
Вулкана,
he's
второго
not
скилла.
exactly a pro meta god.
Slipstream, first of all, then for Kukulkan, increase movement
Cooldown,
speed from
yeah,
40 to 80%. It's going to be 60 to 80%. And Spirit of the Nine Winds, decrease cooldown from 80 seconds to 70 seconds.
Yep. Slipstream getting a nice level
Hell
1 buff.
yeah.
And then
Get
the
your juke
ultimate-
shoes on.
Yeah.
The ultimate's it's so well telegraphed.
I'm
too, that you
normal
can miss a
cooldown,
lot.
baby.
Yeah.
Woo!
Almost.
Not quite.
Almost.
Not
yeah.
quite. Getting there.
It's nearly there.
Yeah, it
Плохо.
is.
Although,
It
Почему бы
depends, yeah,
нет?
depending on the
Хулиганы
round.
так
Well,
сильно
then, after that Astral
недооценивают.
Barrage fix, Brighton Targeter, add the new FX element on his body to convey shots left.
So
That's
Total time and
subtext.
ult.
it's yeah, sorry, that's weird. On his target now has been updated. That's really it. It's a target
Okay.
Ну,
update.
короче,
So the
теперь
ground targeter
визуально
is
теперь
brighter.
лучше будет
It's
ульта,
easier to
ну,
see the
кружочек,
timer,
который ты
it's
будет
easier to
виден
see
в
in
раунд.
a fight,
Лучше
and
будет
it has
видно вот эту
orbs floating
полосочку,
over it to show how
сколько
many
ульты
shots you have.
осталось.
Oh, okay, that's
It's
nice.
И
very- it has a
сколько
little height
будет
to it,
написано,
which
сколько у
gives you
тебя
better
осталось
distance.
выстрелов.
Sure.
Just quality of life, no buff, just a feels thing. So
Yep.
I guess we'll find out, when Marvel starts playing if he likes it or not. It's
Интересно.
gonna change, but we think people will like it.
Well, if Marvel
Не
doesn't
могу,
like
ну
it,
в
then we gotta
смысле,
ship it
если
back.
сам
I
так
guess so,
написал.
That's
He's
how
the
it's
only
gotta-
person who plays Bravo.
It's gotta be how it's gotta be.
False. But yes.
Second to
Типа,
last
уверен, нет
on the
форс,
list
ты не
is
прав.
going to be
Она не
Second.
очень.
Нерв сердец.
Catalyst. Decrease the 3
Давно пора.
poison consumed damage from 25% max HP to 20% of the max HP. Death
пассивка.
is an issue where enemies would hit only one time, even though 2
Воу.
characters
Для
collide.
первого скилла
This
меньше
ability's targeter
лучше
has been
сделали
updated to
окружение.
show the areas where the ability hits.
Yes. So when you actually look at it here,
That's so
the
cool.
hit area has not changed at all. This is actually the hit area. It just now actually
You can
conveys
see
the
it
hit
better.
area.
Right. That's interesting.
So-
I'm just gonna run around with that on.
It's
'cause I like it.
it's always been like that. Trust us.
Yeah.
But the problem was this targeter is really hard to convey because of the way it
Блядь.
moves.
Right.
So we used
Очень
really
упорото
simple
выглядит.
line art just to kind of show the zigzag. But it wasn't very accurate. So what we did is we added this extra layer over it.
Чисто удобство.
And
Ну
like I said,
такое.
because of the way it morphs and shifts, we can't art this up too much more. But the effects team did a really good job of making
Выглядит
it
очень
really
упорото.
fit our design needs.
Yeah.
So this is the only fix is being that sometimes you could zigzag through people if you were on right on the edge of the zigzag. It would only hit once, even though she clearly did 2 of the hits. So now we changed it to make that hit more consistently, and we show the area and the way it's actually been hitting all this time.
Perfect. So
Yeah.
a little bit clearer.
Yeah, so some clarity buff for her really, but then 2 numerical.
Меньше
numbers.
урона.
And here's even
Я не понял, о чем ты
by the way.
говоришь.
Last breath decreased from 210 to 690 is now going to be 200 to 640
Хороший
as
фоксайз.
well now. So Small nerf in the early game, but more of a nerf in the late game to the base damage there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, largely targeting the tank kind of builds where you had.
Это правильно, всякий очень сильно было. Хотя и сложная, типа для многих, но все же достаточно сильная.
And last, for the summer patch.
Oh, I'm sad that it's over,
The
but
last god on this list is Jean-Qui nerfs. Yes.
Oh, не разу.
Demon back. The protections on the passive, reduced protections. They used to be 1 per stack. It's going to be 0.8 per stack. So does that work out at top end?
Серьезно?
10 off the top.
10 off the top, so 30
Такое
total,
себе.
and then
Глупость какая-то.
60.
Если я правильно понял, они понефили ему пассивку, что теперь не один стак.
Bit of a reduction.
Ну, такое себе.
It was 0.7 up to 1.1. It's going to be 0.6.
Сильнее Кали. В смысле, Кали не самый сильный ассасин далеко.
So we had just buffed that, but we went back to a place in between,
That's fair.
which we do a lot, and that does
Нет,
often work out well
сомневаюсь.
when that's the case. So we were really surprised at actually how much Jean-Qui shot up in the stats.
Oh,
In
yeah.
both popularity, surprisingly, and performance. So
Такое, такое.
Well, the one last thing to really show you then is the graphic at the end of all that.
a little bit less
That's
crazy than the
look
item
at,
was.
that's just gods.
Ну,
man.
нерфы неплохие.
Мне апы понравились многие.
I want to see a combined.
Нерфы неплохие, не считая Занхуя жалко очень. А вот изменение персонажей, ну, блять, Фрея.
Я вообще
Unfortunately, I have a
не
graphic that just
понял
says
вообще, типа, смысл вот этих вот всех
Yeah.
изменений, что
You know,
такое.
a lot of quality of life. The bug fix list is really exciting. Trust me when you get that patch
Пиздец,
notes out
такое
later today.
себе.
They're really long, so they're taking us time to write, so they'll be out a little later after the show.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm really happy with this patch. The team has been working super hard,
Калиса.
hitting a lot of old
Тут ты
school
ошибаешься.
requests.
Yes.
Really hard to like those things
Нет,
weren't
я
just
не называл пока
they weren't
40.
procrastinated on. They're
Серкет
really hard to
сильнее
solve. That's what took us
Кали,
so long.
намного сильнее.
So Stu really got over here and has been doing a lot of work with me to make sure we find these really impactful changes.
Well,
Сейчас
that's
кто там
your
еще с ассасином
balance
есть?
and all that kind of stuff for the mid-season patch, but we still got to go through those new skins we've got, and we've also got a lot of cool information waiting for you from La Tigris and Isaiah over at the desk.
Thanks, Agro. As he said, Tigris here with High-Res.
Да как
Isaiah,
будет?
how you doing?
Не сказал бы.
Pretty good. That's a lot to digest.
I know.
A huge patch.
So many changes. It's super exciting, and they didn't even get a chance to go through it all. There's like
Тут
so
только
much.
Серкет-то нет,
Which is why it's great we have all the
подожди.
information.
Неж
through social
сильнее.
media
Если
stuff that you can
у
check
тебя
up
бесов
on
нету,
later.
Неж тебя
And we have a
выебет, у
couple
него
updates
очень
here,
много
gives you a
урона.
bit of a chance to digest all the information that
Донатос
was
очень
just thrown at
сильный,
you. First
достаточно
off, on the
сильный,
esports
наравне
side,
с ней.
not many
Я бы не
announcements,
сказал, что
but
Кали
really
сейчас очень
action-packed.
сильная.
First of all, the 21st and 22nd is our console LAN coming up. You're looking forward to having all those teams
Oh
here?
yeah, I'm super excited. Love watching Xbox boys go.
Арахна
It's
очень
super
сильная,
exciting
в
every
принципе.
time they come to the skill shop.
Хз, ну,
I
типа,
must say, there's some of the most
смотреть
vibrant
нужно по
personalities as
ситуации.
well,
Yeah,
so it's great
it's-
having
Но
that
Кали
energy here
далеко
in
не
the
самый
studio.
сильный.
And then if you want any more information on esports, our esports weekly segment on Monday will be our LAN preview show. So not just covering console, but all the PC content to come up afterwards. So that's esports side, what we got on community.
On the community side, just a couple things. The first thing I wanted to touch on something that we didn't get a chance for AJ and Pond to cover. For the mid-season update, we have a really exciting change for our console players. Speaking of console, I'm happy to announce in 5.13 we will be
Они смогут
introducing
менять,
a mini-map
там
editor.
больше сменил
So console
карты,
players will
короче.
now have the
Типа как
ability
мы,
to adjust the
типа.
position of the mini-map, its
Прав,
scale,
насколько
and its
Типа как на
Привел
ПК теперь
недавно.
можно будет менять
It's
себе
a
там
key
позиции,
request
даже
feature for
или
some
карты.
time.
The whole
Ну, да, много чего,
customizable
Панда, очень
experience
много.
on console. I love when we're
Уже
bringing those
дрыщ.
new features.
И это хорошо.
And,
Да, вот
speaking
не
of new features
сказать,
and new
что прям
parties, this weekend is a
бесит,
party
но
up weekend.
далеко не
So
топ.
call your friends,
Арахна
Два на
сильный.
выходных.
about the new mid-season update, get your
Это
guys
X2 на
ready to
выходных,
practice
да-да.
up.
Ну, это
As long
говорили.
as you're playing in a party of 2 or more,
Это еще
you'll
не
be able to
кончилось,
earn
нет.
Ну, в пати, конечно, как
worshippers,
всегда.
favor, and XP this weekend.
Nice. Do you have some
Блин,
go-to
Робert,
party
жизнь
members that you
нет.
normally
Его и
go
так
with?
капали
We've got some
недавно.
go-to party
2
members. A
раза.
couple people here in
Пизду.
the studio, we play console all the time, so I've definitely got my squad ready for this weekend.
So what does it take to become a part of your squad for
Just
the
hit me
party?
up on Twitter. I'm always
Yeah?
looking for people to play
X2 на
with.
выходные
Hit me up
круто.
on Twitter if you're on Xbox, PS4. Hit me
Это
up.
с
We'll
сегодняшнего
play some
дня.
games.
Прямо сейчас.
Heard it
That's
there
right.
first, folks.
Что, дальше,
What
Крия?
else we
Спасибо,
got?
Панда.
Alright, last but
Изменения
not least,
много,
we
очень
had
много.
a ton of
Потом
stuff announced
заценишь.
just now for the mid-season update.
Чё?
Tons of item changes, balance changes for God, as well as including features.
Нет,
on
дружище,
match
я не буду
making
их
and
никогда.
all new
Я
player
часто
behavior features.
Танатоса с
I just want to remind
Нарфон
you
там
guys
называю.
that your participation
Это
on
да, а
PTS
так, типа,
is
путаю
super
со
important for
скином, а
us
так
to be
не.
able to find issues
сказал бы.
early. That way we fix issues, and I'm happy to announce that for PTS, we'll actually be running an event to where if you play on PTS, you'll have the opportunity to earn gems on your live account. So the event will work similar to our Gemstorm events. If you win games on PTS,
Противоки,
you'll be
как для
able to
меня.
earn
Да,
gems on your
согласен.
live account. And we'll have details.
Что там прикол, типа, ты выигрываешь игры на ПТС и можешь получить темы на реальном аккаунте.
Серьезно?
Ага,
Это был баг, типа?
Нет, это не баг, это типа прикол, чтобы тестить.
Блядь, я просто прослушал. Четкий. Да, огни четкий не потому, что он только противок хороший, а просто потому, что он достаточно метовый. Прям очень сильный. Ну, типа, на данный момент один из самых сильных магов.
Instead, I've got some cool people here to help me talk about these skins. It's Ben and it's John joining me here on the casual set. First of all, guys, thank you for joining me here. John, this is your first time on the Patch Notes show. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, I'm John Wynn, and I'm the lead animator on Smite.
Lead animator. So we got the king coming through.
John, all he does is win.
All he does is win. That's it. He can't stop winning.
Ты не очень того чувака, слышишь, я его сейчас громче сделаю.
Well, let's get right into it then. Let's start with Plushie.
Вы же говорите, как что слышно, почему вы вечно, блядь, молчите? Если тихо, то скажите сразу. Скажи что-то, Макс.
Да, я говорю.
This is one of my favorite skins we've done in a while.
Вот.
This
Я
is,
сделал громче,
you know, we've got our fair share of badass skins in this patch, but
Давайте
this one
сделаю
kind of
тише,
bear the
почему
light.
это?
It's soft and it's cozy, man. Warm and fuzzy. It's a definitely a different take.
Ну прикольный, конечно.
Да, прикольный, согласен. Для меня донатик не отображается.
Давай играть, я собака, ты собака, я собака,
О,
ты собака,
прикольный.
я собака, ты собака, я собака, ты собака.
Спасибо.
I'm not getting into the technicals, but the way the lighting works and stuff, it's very felt, very fluffy looking.
Yeah, Ben's team did a great job on it. It actually feels like it's woven together.
And of course, you got the yarn to roll. That logically makes a lot of sense. That's so good.
Это был донатик от кого-то, блядь, но не отобразилось. Не отобразилось, потому что Donation Alerts не отобразил. Спасибо за донатик. Я здесь на 10 часов поставил. Спасибо за музычку. Баг БКСУРа? Да, кстати, это баг. Ну, это просто ПТС. Не ПТС, это просто тест, короче, разработчик. Там ТКБ. Что было? Это донатик, это музыка донатика.
Прикольная еще спецэмоция.
Да, неплохо.
Прикольный скин. Спецэмоция очень крутая.
Спецэмоция. Да, спецэмоция прикольная. Очень даже. Скин такой зачетный. Или Донецкий.
So you get a different jump based on what direction you're moving?
Yeah, so if you go forward, back, left, and right, those are the jumping animations, and the other directions, you just roll.
So cool. This is potentially the best.
Если неплохо.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That is incredible. That animation was just amazing. Let's take a listen to the voice back here for Plushie.
Найс трек. Да. Прям в тему. Толпозон. О, почти. Я только не знаю, почему это вообще ничего не отображается. А, я знаю почему. Потому что... Вот почему. Потому что вот эта штучка поверх всего. Да, прям под скин согласен. Да, скин классный. Скин классный. Что, но, конечно, все скины, по-моему, тихие. Еще эмоции зачетные. Спасибо за донатик.
Ну, из ивента.
Подписывайтесь на канал.
Да, спасибо, там еще и реклама. Блять, сука, винт, лопач, ты еще с рекламой бросил какой-то нахуй. Ебаный, блять, спасибо тебе, блять. Я попишу чуть-чуть погромче, чтобы, блять, этого не было слышно, нахуй. Сука, блядь, ебучая реклама, там просто пиздец какая. Спасибо. Спасибо за донатик. У тебя лагает, у меня не лагает. У вас тоже не должно лагать. Во-во. Кирн очень классный. Привет, Монарх. Привет, братишка. Привет, Игорь. Бля, Кирнус зачетный. Очень классный. Сори, не знал. Да, пофиг. Просто победить нужно было срочно, чтобы не было слышно.
The one, the kind of digital one, the one where he's got the nice velvet jacket. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. The beast classy. Yeah, that one's really, really cool.
Прикольный эффект, это пассивки такие темные.
Что?
Yeah, everything's just a tie-in to the
3D на атаки. Зачем-то. Бля, очень крутой, блядь, скиллы. Отличный скин, да, согласен, скин зачетный. Да, Кирн топчик.
Oh yeah, you're do not want to get stuck in that. That's for sure. Really well defined along the area, but there's plenty of spikes there.
Действительно классный скин. Как будто реально поменяли геймдизайнеров и скины начали выходить нормальные. Последние несколько патчей скины рили годные. Блять, ульта вообще охуенная. Топчик.
Wait, goat eyes are so scary. Wait, they actually have those?
They got them, man.
I don't want them. I don't take them back. I don't.
Да, ульт вообще охуенный.
Oh, there they are. They're so spooky.
Классно.
I mean, I like it, but I don't at the same time.
They're cute though, man. You know.
Yeah, I don't know about that anymore. I'm lost.
Для зачет. Классный скин.
Love the little the pentagram that comes out.
Yeah. Keeping with the demonic theme. Yeah.
And this is something that I've been talking about a lot when it comes to these skins, and we can kind of quiet down and let you hear it. But the bass effects on the ultimate, like when it detonates, just sounds so meaty.
Они просто прямоугольники? Зачем-то? Я не понял, я не знаю, как это. Это типа у тебя на минималках херай, потому это так? Или
I'm all
что?
about that kind of stuff. I love that sort of effect. All right, let's take a listen to the voice pack here for Hellscape Kurnos.
Very well done. That was substantial. I am the goat. I am the goat. You will be consumed by...
Да, неплохо, очень круто. Скин на Кирна зачетный еще.
Yeah, there it is.
Styling on him.
I love it. The VEG is the I'm the goat, but then he goes
Чтобы обгрейдился на нейт.
He explains it to you.
Right, he needs to drive that.
Надеюсь, никогда такого не будет.
На Зенвей?
Well, someone got to take care of the goat.
Типа...
That job might fall to Nightbane Jingwei.
Типа охотник на вампиров, что-то такое.
Типа хэштег Диабло.
Не, типа хэштег Арбалет из Ван Хельсинга, кто смотрел. Очень похоже.
She looks like she means business here with this one.
Yeah, that's
Да, помню.
Выглядит неплохо.
Да, выглядит, ну, типа, да, неплохо. Какое-то соотношение головы к телу, слишком голова большая, как по мне. Или это за капюшона так кажется, на каком скине, на ретро-аниме. Да, ретро или как с Ван Хельсинга. Очень похож. И наконец-то единственный скин нанес с адекватным лицом, блять, где она не страшная. Да, блять, вечно страшная, это, конечно, пиздец.
We really wanted to feel like a witch hunter is where we were trying to go with it. So a lot of those kind of like shapes that kind of go in line with that.
Definitely more serious. Lost the pigtails, you know, kind of have the hood on. Very serious in tone. Even her crossbow is different now. They got more like moving parts on it and stuff with ammo counters on the bottom.
Oh, nice. Yeah, excited to see how that.
Это скин не очень. Мне понравился. В отличие от других скинов, у нее здесь лицо красиво выглядит.
Эффекты очень крутые от скиллов, очень.
И скиллы очень круто выглядят.
Интересно.
Да это говно скин.
Какая.
Ты чего прикопались? Нормальный скин.
О, это вообще топовое.
The effect underneath her whenever she dashes.
Ground effects with the flames.
Yeah, this is my favorite.
Это прикольно, но не под скин как-то.
Here's airstrike.
Норм ее лицо нет.
The distinct hits of the airstrike itself.
Ну, в обычном, ну, типа, в остальных скинах не очень лицо.
Love it from Nightbane Jingwei. Let's take a listen to her voice pack.
Рука, блядь, отлично. Когда у тебя рука бревно. Бойс не очень. Да, после топки Рдуна. Ну да, после топки Рдуна согласен. Но на фоне других скинов надо называем the best просто. Зачем?
Криво собака, ты же меня любишь. Пойдем играть, подчеркивание циркумфлекс.
Ты что-то поставил?
Okay, all right. I like a little backstory there, Ben. Tina's not here to provide it, so I like the...
Tina really wants to be like, she just goes and hunts monsters and
Спасибо.
stuff and gets the bounties, like, very typical kind of thing like that. I think we followed through pretty good.
Войс взрослой девушки, плюсуй квартекс, войс отвратительный просто. Это на джин? Что за хуйня?
This is the first one where she's really looking human. Yep, her real self. Yeah, this is her humanized version of Soul. She's got a lot of, I'm guessing, pyro effects here.
Yeah, so the trick with her was she's like, you know, usually energy based, right? And fire is the case.
Сука, это пиздюк.
Like technic kind of person, you know? Or pyrokinesis is what you're saying? Yeah. So basically you can control fire and stuff like that.
Привет, Артемка. Соль, да, это соль. На него похоже, нет, не похоже. Отвратительный скин. Очень отвратительный. Фу. Лично мне очень не нравится. Ну, слушай, подобно, да, отвечаю. Скиллы прикольно выглядят, но сам скин отстойный. Блять, да, я вырублю. Блять, что за хуйня ты включил, Лопыч, пиздец. Блин, сори, Лопыч. Я включу этот ну, твой трек на другом стриме, серьезно.
The little punk star, yeah, punk star, yeah. She's all about the scene, man. I can respect that, you know. I can.
Ну, не очень скин выглядит, серьезно.
Wow, that is really fiery there. The tattoo among that. That is.
Скиллы еще более-менее типа, вот, да, скиллы неплохо выглядят, но сам он такой себе.
What can't I do on this national show? Let me tell you. Let's take a look at the ultimate supernova. Very cool. Looking good there. Again, the audio effect.
Все-таки скин будет. Хз.
Distinctive hits. Yeah, very, very much so. Let's take a look.
Теперь все можно, да нет. В смысле? Хз. Это же говно скин, да, говно скин, согласен. Вот это говнище. По сравнению с предыдущими вообще ни о чемный. Это топ, вы чё? Да в смысле топ? Он рили говно.
Good for her in Loki.
Yeah. Wishing the best of luck.
Керамстовый геймов, согласен.
To those two. Pup Patrol Cerberus is next up on the list, and man, I'm very excited.
Цурбер. Ну, Цурбер это интересно тоже.
It's so cute. If you thought we were done with the cute skins after the Ganesh, well, we like, it was cute, and then we brought it to the badass, and now we're back to cute again.
Бля, ну, классненькие рили.
This, you know, we usually get notes here on what to talk about. My first bullet point for this one is speaks for itself, and I would tend to.
That's it. It's just cute, man. You got the little snack up there.
A little happy snack.
Oh, look at him.
He's so cute.
It's good.
Like, he's so happy.
That was the hardest part. Was fun, like doing the dog like in a nice puppy way. That's like, you know, stylized and friendly. That was easy. How do you integrate a snake that doesn't look hideous?
Вот эта змейка белая на хвосте. Как-то так, ну, странно выглядит. Что-то Макс отвалился. Макс, ты тут?
Да, чё? Скил прикольненький.
Да. Скиллы только что-то так.
Не, чё, прикольно, фиолетовый, ему подходит.
Фиолетовый беленький такой, да, просто типа я думал, как-то нежно более будет. На псину, да, охуенный, согласен.
Светленький такой, очень мне нравится. Люблю светлые скины.
Неплохо, Рили, очень классно.
Очень светлый, очень круто. Звук от ты только странный.
Just everything is like so light, but it also has a little bit of a heftiness to it. I mean, Cerberus is a big good boy. Wow, what was?
Я тебе понял про змейку. Хорош, Тир, хорош.
So he is a very energetic puppet.
Oh yeah,
He's hyper.
It's very exciting.
Да, Рили такой, типа, на позитиве скинчик.
He's a little pupper.
Еще эмоции есть, жесть.
Задержка чутка, я с задержкой смотрю. С эмоция. Жесть. Да, эмоция жестко. Он растет в этом скине? В смысле растет? Блять, эмоции жестко. Ты Рили няшно.
What can this dog do? And I was like, okay, you know what? Butt scoot. Go with that.
Man,
Yep.
I'll tell you what. I gotta give a shout out. This reminds one of my best friend's dogs. We call her Pup. She just butt scoots everywhere. She's like old. She's super old. It's still just butt scoots all the time. Shout outs to Pup. That reminds me of her. This is just amazing. I see that the collars got a little bit brighter whenever he activates the heads.
Тебе показалось.
You know,
Тебе показалось.
Cerberus, there's like these energy things that are on his neck that give it to tell for where things are at.
Right.
We wanted to do something a little more tasteful and didn't like
Я
look like
стир,
coming
фу.
out of this fluffy dog, so we figured we'd just highlight those kind of elements.
That is so
Не в билете
cool.
будет,
Yeah, and it even
хз.
like changes color. It's
Yeah.
not just a highlight, but
Yes.
it gives it some more effects. Does the bow tie normally have those polka dots, or does those normally come?
They're there.
Oh, no, they do
Change up, yeah.
Yeah, they're a little bit softer there for Pup Patrol Cerberus. Let's take a listen to his voice pack.
Oh my god.
Or we can do this. This is fine too.
Так Стивен хорошо подметил.
Just zooming around the map. And this makes me sad that I can't do that in my real games. Let's look.
Фу, блядь.
Amazing! Who's a good boy? I'm a good boy!
Yep.
Who's a good boy?
Фу, блядь.
I'm a good boy!
Yes, you are.
Пиздец, мне ужасно не нравится voice.
How come I lick people, but they never lick me back? I just want to be loved.
Snake laugh.
I love the snake laugh.
Like,
It's like doing a little dance there as we head right back to the...
Сука. Вот это жестко.
Скин прикольный.
Прикольный, войс отвратительный. Серьезно. Мне очень...
Не о токе говорю. Ну, войс, да, Снайпер не очень.
on Twitter, one of the premier artists here at High-Res Studios. She's
Крио,
been messing
что
with this sort of
Quartex?
concept for a while now. This is the first skin from it. This is such a cool little aesthetic.
Войс забавный.
Oh yeah.
Хз,
I think
мне не
when
понравился.
and I think it was just like a fan art thing. It
Yeah,
was like
it was.
for fun, you know. And it was like people loved it so much. We're like, oh, we gotta do a whole line of these.
Ну да.
So this is the first one of that.
Типа я ожидал что-то более такое.
Yeah, man.
Цербер, да, классный.
Yeah,
Просто, да.
he really is. I could take a couple fashion notes from this.
Do you see the book right there? Anna also did that. It's like an actual comic book.
Бабло
that she
нету.
kinda drew up.
Whoa, no
and
way.
if you see the inside of the pages or actual pages from the comic that Anna wrote.
Oh, that's so
made,
cool.
so.
Yeah.
This is the Enna Thoth skin
Yep.
for you guys at home, and
All
you should.
proceeds go to Anna.
Yeah, I'm sure she wishes, but I don't know if that's how that works. Certainly should though. Did a bunch of great work on it. Something about on her there is about the comic book. Geek stock. It has the little brick effects. He's always in the city. You know?
Такой очень аккуратный скин, ничего лишнего, так все по минимальному. Так.
Да.
Никаких жестких эффектов. И сам он такой небольшой. Всегда мне нравится. Аккуратный такой скин.
Very big and orby, but these are very clean, dictated,
Clean geometric shape. Yeah, yeah.
Super trendy.
Стенка прикольная очень.
That's what it's all about. Check out my tag. It's a coffee shop window.
Yeah.
That's so smart.
Да, неплохо.
Man, like sometimes I feel like I've got good skin ideas, and then I see the real skin ideas, and I'm like, I'm helpless.
А у тебя тоже трансляция полагалочка?
Yes.
Блядь, что меня просило.
Yeah, the little lamp.
The little lamps, yeah. Gives it some 3D texture. Oh man, that is so cool. I was like, is he gonna say it? Is it? That's so good.
Блять, ульта топово выглядит.
Под ним, кстати, кирпичики вообще прикольные.
Chill out, man. At the coffee shop.
He's got the tightest clothes.
With the tightest clothes. He's eating at the freshest restaurants.
Yep.
I mean, got
the best coffee
and everything.
Starbeaks, you know.
You already know
Яровый
what I mean.
кивиш, в смысле яровый кивиш.
He definitely is hanging out with those hottest dudes. Let's take a listen to the voice pack here.
Yeah, you're cool. Amazing, truly. I'm so hip. Yikes! Yikes!
Is that almost a yeet?
A yikes?
That is close. That is dangerously close to yeet territory.
You shop at a chain store. What?
No.
You never seen a messenger bag before? Why am I even playing this? This game isn't in beta anymore.
Wow.
Oh, this coffee is gross. Let me guess. You didn't use filtered water
Серьезно,
that was
какой-то
heated to
скин.
exactly 164 degrees.
Мне нравится, и voice прикольный.
Да, прикольный, просто говорю, типа, в такой серьезном стиле.
Okay, so he looks cool, but he's.
Да, он такой серьезный, аккуратный.
Ум играет.
Прикольно.
А, поиграть вместе, да, можно. Без проблем, просто я, скорее всего, не буду стримить сегодня.
Very frou-frou.
Very much.
О, а теперь баранчик.
This skin is dope. Speaking of dope,
Барашек
we got another
суббота,
one for you. They
бля.
just keep coming here on the update show. Half-Life Baron Zombie. I mentioned this one earlier, that you get this skin by completing the voodoo portion of the Divine Uprising event. And oh no, you have to complete
Лимитированный,
it
на то-то
because
есть лимитированный
there's
скин.
insanely good skins that are really cool.
Макс,
I'm
на
so
адапта
sorry
разве есть
for you
лимитированный?
guys at home.
Мне кажется,
This is your
есть,
reward.
он в
This
ивенте
is,
был, самый
we
последний
kind of
такой
did
мех.
one soul skin that we went over today, but
Раз
Soul has a skin that
впечатлено.
reminds me of this one, the Meltdown Soul.
На
Is
пуче.
texture here?
Yeah, so that was the
Классный.
inspiration with this. We're like,
Но
you know,
его
we
слишком
like the looking,
переоценивают.
but we like to do something inside of the negative shapes of his
Не
skin.
будешь
You know, with the,
стримить.
we have the cool, you know, skeleton paint.
Квартекс
What can we do
сказал,
to make
я
that
не буду
look,
стримить
you know,
игру.
that
Я так
soul
сказал.
meltdown look, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a radioactive kind of feel to him, you know?
Yep.
You got the two
Классно
snakes
здесь не
up there that
лагает.
are affected by that.
Yeah.
Yep, the radiation got to them. You know, you sprouted two heads there.
Yeah, exactly. That's real. I love that idea. A little bit of a
Космический.
weird
Я не
sort
помню.
of skin here for Baron. It fits him very nicely. The two snakes together. Still, the effectiveness of just one snake,
Следующий.
however. Oh, I love that sound
Чуть-чуть,
effect
ну.
on the death gaze. Very cool. A little bit. This is gonna sound weird. It sounds like moist almost. Like,
Yeah,
it's
like-
like-
yeah.
Yeah, it's like you got that
Такой
radioactive goo.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
Right away. And there's, by the way, a little bit of a change for Baron if you just missed it.
The
Move
passive.
the hysteria
Yep.
a little bit to the side, not quite on top of you anymore. Oh, that is so
The
cool.
atom bomb.
That is so cool. This is going to
Какой-то не очень. Серьезно.
Sign spirits is a pretty good ability. The atom bomb going to everyone. Oh, that's so dope.
Раньше были, сори, я тоже не в курсе.
Да, выглядит нормально, скиллы нормально.
Alongside Death Gaze.
Чё, нормальный
Wrap
скилл.
it up. You throw your two-headed snake
Мэх.
and they get wrapped
Чувак,
up.
просто
It's
сравнивать со
two
скинами, которые до этого
heads, you
показали.
know what I mean? They should be able to work together. Yeah.
We could put
Фигня
that in the
скин, да,
notes,
это
see
считай
what they
фигня
do with
скин,
it.
полная
You start
фигня.
going pay to win. You know?
Yeah.
More
Alright.
snakeheads.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Here's the ultimate. Oh, that
got
little
like a-
box
New chamber. Yeah.
is so cool. Okay? I don't want to be stuck in like the crypt, the whatever it's called, the coffin that he has
Yeah.
in his regular skin. I definitely don't want to be stuck in this radioactive chamber that he has here.
Like a hyperbaric chamber thing. Like
Yeah, it's
that's
like
what
a-
he's got to go in there after every battle to
Yeah.
kind of get
Yeah,
that,
that's
you
where
know,
he
to
powers
stay
up.
alive still, you know?
Oh, that is so cool. I'm just biased. I think Baron is like the coolest god we've done in so long.
He's real cool. Yeah.
And then this like makes it even better.
And we gave him a modern style too. He still has that same kind of dapper look to him.
It still fits his personality, right?
Yeah.
Being all
Да,
dressed up,
есть
being
лимитированный
dapper.
на то-то. Металлический
Very
такой,
much so.
And his little
космический.
cane
Да.
and his flash.
Я же говорю,
Class,
что
yeah.
такой мех.
Always high class for Baron
Прикольная
every
эмоция.
single time. We've got a VXG that's this. he
Это
searched on
эмоция?
the tank is what
Да.
it says here.
It's
О,
another
эмоция
one.
неплохо.
I love VXG.
But the VXGs are always the best. This was Baron's original
Да,
ultimate idea.
плюсую
Yeah,
лапыч.
so when Baron was being made for the first time, his ultimate, he was supposed to surf on the coffin, and then that's how he pulls enemies in, and then he locks you into the coffin. But that kind of changed, so this was a throwback to the original design.
Oh, that's really cool. I love like he's putting his hand out, you know what I mean? Like,
making the ground all messed up.
In their jersey, they did a great job on this. He's kind of like, you know, touching the radioactive wakes that are kind of kicking up there.
Man, that is, I mean, you see that coming at you, and you're like, I'm in some serious trouble. This man is all sorts of messed up, that he's riding a nuclear, like, coffin.
Yep.
So serious that he jumps up and hits you with the style.
Yeah, exactly. Then he still styles out anyways. After that, this one really, really cool. Let's take a listen to the voice pack here for Half-Life Baron.
I may have a place for you. Terrific. I am become death, destroyer of worlds. Eureka! What a waste.
Oh, that's a really cool animation there. It's so very similar to
Voice неплохой, подходит под скин. В целом не очень.
Can I see the back animation? I want to see if it's the same.
Да, voice pack неплох, под скин подходит, но скин не очень.
Default skin, it is. This is like my favorite thing about playing Baron. Every time I back, I'm like, damn, I look good doing it. Yeah.
You did the animation with that, right?
I did do that one. Yeah.
That is truly, not kidding, John, one of my favorite animations in the entire game.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun to work on. Yeah.
It just makes me feel so good every single time I do it. Again, you can get Half-Life Baron by completing the Divine Uprising, the Voodoo portion of the Divine Uprising event. Again, if you're kind of losing track of what the Divine Uprising is all about,
you're going to get the chance to get a
Tier 5 Bologna skin at the very end of it. So you get all these 6 skins all throughout, and then there's a Tier 5 at the end as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining me here. That does it for our skins section. And that basically does it for our update, or for the mid-season update in general. This is it.
Ладно, после стрима Макс скажу.
Thanks for joining us in this lengthy update show. And as Isaiah mentioned on the desk, make sure you get out and play on that PTS. We do very much.
Может, кстати, вот это, что они там раздают гемы за то, что на PTS играет. Может, хотя бы что-то они нормально потестят, и не будет с такими багами жесткими, как всегда.
Thanks so much for watching. Stick around. We've got
Ладно, давай, я уже буду идти.
Давай.
Coming your way after a short break. See you later.
Так, выключаем эту ебаную рекламу. Вот. Выключаем вашу рекламу. Все. Да, все. Квартекс, ты пропустил большую частину. Выводы сделаны. Что выводы сделаны? Я даже не знаю, блядь. Ну, в смысле, типа, Раванну перевели в... Давайте сейчас проанализируем. Вкратце сказать так. Ну, Раванну перевели в убийцы. Это круто, это ожидаемо. Это... Ну, типа... Это охуенно. Типа, ничего такого. Что еще? Изменения Фрей мне не понравились. Изменения... Ну, типа, сейчас мне не нравилось. Мне понравилось, что изменили Сюрикен, вот этот отравленный. Он был не очень... Типа, не очень популярный по сравнению с Демоном Ветра. Так Демона Ветра апнули, цену снизили, все такое. Отравленный звезду наоборот. Такое себя. Toxic Blade, отравленный клинок, очень круто изменили. Очень крутой баф. Типа, там 30 скорости атаки теперь, предмет очень хороший. Вот, неплохо, да. Стекер на хп еще больше понерфили. Ну, ладно. Такое, типа... В целом, патч неплох, типа. Если они не облажаются, все неплохо выглядит. Скины, конечно, не все топ. Некоторые скины параша полные. Типа, как Соль, как Барон. Вот. Но Кернун охуенный, Цербер охуенный. Вот. Если, короче, все, что они назвали, будут рили неплохо в релизе, и не будет так много багов, то... Давайте будем честны, патч будет неплох. Вот. То есть, неплохо. Неплохо, так сказать. Вот. Посмотрим, что будет при релизе игры. Летали люди. Ну да, тут понятно. Соль отстойная. Доступны чески на нее. Хота. Хола. Давид Бэрон. Hello, Давид. Hello. Что за дискриминация у багов? Нет. Что? Играть не умеешь. Квартекс, к чему это, блядь, если на нее есть намного лучше скины? глупость какая-то. Тот же космический отличный скин. Вот, соль ни о чем. Так вот, типа, в целом патч неплох. Если, блядь, не облажается, будет круто. Давид, ты русский, походу. Так что здорово. Праша на нее. Ну вот видишь, это твое мнение, а вот у многих, наверное, другое мнение. Вот. Мне лично космический нравится, а вот этот новый Параша чисто шлюха, реально ни о чем скин. Такое себе. Вот. Да, вообще, самый крутой мне, по-моему, Эпсилон. Вот, неплох. Наоборот, блядь, чувак, научись понимать, что такое личное мнение, хорошо? И прекрати спорить. Вот. На этом все, короче. Типа, будем надеяться, при выходе патч не станет хуже, и все будет так же прекрасно. Типа, not bad. Почему бы и нет? Посмотрим. Вот. Релиз, конечно, не скоро, скорее всего, будет, через 2 недели. Вот. Поэтому да. Ну, на этом все. Всем спасибо за просмотр. Подписывайтесь, ставьте лайки. Спасибо, что пришли. И пока-пока. Да, патч выйдет через 2 недели. Скорее всего. Все, давайте.